What's up, Junkies? Welcome back to another great episode of Culture Junkies Live. It is episode 209 by the count. I know the episode number is wrong. We were kind of in a hurry here. Didn't get fully set up. But anyway, we're back with another really fun episode. Today we're going to talk about the Peacock Networks showed a couple of new trailers for both Punky Brewster and for Saved by the Bell. We're going to review those and also kind of give our thoughts of what reboots we'd like to see moving forward. But also, the great Adakuji wanted to run it back and think about the Sega Master System, somewhat of an underappreciated video game system over the course of history. But before I get too far ahead of myself, let me introduce who's going to be on the show with me today. The two to my right is Mr. GQ, and to the front of me is the great Dadakuji, and from remote is Super Nerd Plus. How you doing, fellas?
Hey.
Doing pretty good from what I can tell.
That's a nice little cowboy voice
It's
you got.
all in the reflexes.
Yeah, right. So anyway, before we get too deep, let's go ahead and get the show started. If you are following us on Facebook, share it with your friends. If you're following us on YouTube, share it with your friends too. Here we go. Run the gamut.
Run the gamut.
So what I told you was true from a certain point of view.
All right. So who wants to start first? Who's got some?
I mean, it's been kind of what do you say, light and a lot of news recently because everything is canceled and pushed back to next year.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I saw is that the Venom movie, which we were supposed to go see this year, got pushed back to next year.
Yeah.
And the name is stupid.
You think the name's stupid?
Yeah, isn't it called Venom?
There will be carnage.
Yeah, there will be. Come on.
I mean, it's hokey. Granted,
It just sounds stupid.
It is hokey.
Come on.
I'll grant you that. It's hokey, but I don't mind it. I think it's all right. Yeah. I mean, it's not like they could come out and say Maximum Carnage.
Well, they don't need to call it Maximum
right?
Carnage. They don't even have to throw that in there. They just call it Venom 2 Electric Boogaloo. Whatever. They don't have to.
Really?
They don't have to put Carnage's name in there, dude. Seriously, it could just be Venom 2 because
no, they had to. They had to.
He's what? Isn't he? He's straight up villain where Venom is anti.
Well, no,
hero,
really,
right?
what I would have done with it is instead of playing up on the "There will be carnage" thing, I would have just made the Venom logo drip red with blood, and then just Venom 2 or something like that. Venom "There will be carnage" is like, okay, this movie better be hyper violent and rated R.
Yeah,
and lovely.
And it probably won't be.
Of course not.
But yeah, and speaking of Venom, the writers who wrote the Venom movie. The first Venom movie, that is, of course, there's only been one, is supposed to be doing a One Punch Man movie for Sony.
Wow.
Live action One Punch Man, which I just...
How's that even going to work?
I mean, the anime is really good, and if they try to follow that in some way, but I just think they're going to lose the whole idea of One Punch Man, because One Punch Man is not like Dragon Ball, where he's in the fight, raring to go, trying to get, super strong, whatever. He's there usually at the last minute to come along and save the day. And the narrative is like on the struggles of other people have. I mean, his struggle is basically because he's too strong and he's bored because he wants some kind of what do you call that?
A challenge.
Challenge, exactly. He wants a challenge and he's bored because he can't get a challenge. He's trying to become a hero. People don't think he's a hero because he looks like a scrub because his clothes and nobody knows who he is. And I loved the first season of anime. Second season was just okay, but the live action, first off, anime just does not work live action. I don't know why. Even in my honest opinion, when the Japanese do it, I don't think anybody's done it right.
Battle Angel Alita worked out pretty
okay.
well.
Oh, sorry. I forgot about Battle Angel.
It just depends.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about anime. It can work live action if you have a director and a cast and a producer and a cinematographer that understands the subject matter. And if you get that whole nucleus together, then yeah, you could definitely make something that works. It's just 9 times out of 10, it's these studios that are like okay, worst case in point, Dragon Ball Evolution. You know full well whoever wrote, directed that movie didn't know a damn thing about Dragon Ball. It had elements of the
they
story,
basically got the plot right, basically, but
everything else was
just
stuff. Like, what is this, dude? Like, all of that just felt like just stupid to me when I was watching it. I'm like, okay, this is this ain't gonna work. But again, it's one of those situations. But moving on, past that, thing that I saw that was pretty interesting today was Super Mario Maker 2 got a major update yesterday. They added a whole bunch of new power-ups. They got the Super Mario 2 mechanics in there now. So like you can get a Mario 2 mushroom.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you get a Mario 2 mushroom. It turns them into Mario 2 Mario. And now when you jump on like bullet bills, for example, you can pick them up. You can pick up pretty much anything, like any enemies and stuff, like giant bullet bills, all of them. And here's the crazy thing. When you pick up a bullet bill, you pick him up and hold him up with your head, like, just like in the game. But when you throw him, he gets his trajectory and keeps going, and you can ride him into like different places. So it's like the new mechanics are smooth. They got the frog suit in there now. They got the power acorn, which I guess turns him into like a squirrel Mario, where you can like hang glide and whatnot. They've got a boomerang suit, so you can turn into a boomerang brother. A bullet bill hat, which lets you fly now, basically, but it's only in a straight line. And if you hit a wall, it blows up.
Is he flying from his head? Is he just like hanging from it?
Yeah, he's hanging from it, basically. It's he's got that. Then he's also got a propeller box hat now.
Yeah, he had that in one of the new Super Mario games.
Yeah.
I thought that was the dumbest thing, where he just shoots up.
Yeah,
it's dumb.
So they've got a lot of different power-ups, and here's the other crazy thing. You could remember how basically the whole thing was you make your own levels?
Yeah.
You can make your own world now.
Yeah, I saw. That's the only thing I saw. So all the other stuff is new to me.
Yeah.
That's why I make it on World. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. Not enough to make me buy it, but all the rest of the stuff you're saying is making me want to buy it.
No, this is, like I said, Mario Maker for me has always been a system seller for Nintendo because I like the premise of it. I like the idea.
You buying a Switch?
I probably will buy a Switch for that.
Oh boy, you gonna get that Animal Crossing Switch?
Hell no, man. Matter of fact, I've heard that Nintendo's like trying to amp up because they got a huge shortages of Switches right now because of the pandemic. Everybody's at home. They got time.
Huge.
Did you hear about the dude that built his own Switch?
I got a few homies.
Hold on, real quick.
I got a few homies that's trying to sell some Switches.
They're trying to sell their Switches?
Hell yeah, they trying to make
They're trying to flip them for a whole bunch.
Yeah.
But because of what you're saying, the people trying to sell them and sell them for up much. There's a guy that was on Imgur. Am I saying that right? He built his own Switch. He literally bought all the parts online, which you can do because people part them out for broken ones or what have you. Bought it for $199.
So he bought enough parts to make his own out of broken switches and stuff.
He basically said most of the stuff was $10 a piece, except for the logic board, which was $95.
This makes sense.
I'm just
it's got the BIOS and everything else on.
Yeah, I'm like, that's kind of crazy. You just built the Switch for $200.
Neat.
So one of the things that I ran across today, I mean, following up, and pardon me if I missed it, I was kind of helping behind the scenes, but. Did you see that nonsense that We Got This cover put out there about the live action Dragon Ball movie?
No, not movie. It was a TV show that's supposed to be coming to Disney Plus.
Okay.
What?
First of all,
it's bullshit.
First of all, can we talk about how ridiculous that premise is? First of all, Disney doesn't even have the rights to Dragon Ball. I don't think they'd ever get the rights to Dragon Ball. Funimation owns that lock, stock, and barrel. Second of all...
Is it live action, though? Because who put out the live action movie?
That was... I think it was
probably
Warner Brothers.
Fox.
No, I think it was Warner Brothers.
Fox did it.
You talking about the original one?
Yeah,
Evolution.
That
bullshit.
Evolution, like that... That movie, that
Evolution, I think, is under Fox.
Ever again. But no, I think that it's absolutely ludicrous that We Got This covered, put this thing out there, knowing that it was going to rile up, people that kind of get upset about Disney, owning too many IPs. First of all, Disney doesn't own Dragon Ball. They never would own Dragon Ball. Second of all, who would ever want to see a live-action Dragon Ball TV series?
It was distributed by Fox, so they might have the live action rights. Most definitely, it says right. Evolution was distributed by Fox.
Here's the thing. Here's the other thing. Who owns Funimation?
Sony. I think Sony bought them recently.
Right.
If I remember correctly.
If Apple ends up, buying Sony, they might buy Funimation from them.
Man,
could you imagine that if Disney's like, hey, y'all can have Sony, whatever. We get Spider-Man back by default.
Yeah,
right.
Look, that's all I want.
But dude,
we'll take Funimation off your hands too.
It's so ridiculous to even think that.
I think it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Could it be plausible?
No.
Just by seeing that, I just think it's fake. First off, but benefit of the doubt, just because we know who owns Fox and we know that this movie was distributed by Fox, we really don't know how licensing works. As we know that you get something and supposedly you hold on to it until something in the contract, and if nothing in the contract stipulates that it's going to go back to whatever, that stays with them forever, and now that Disney owns Fox, which is more than likely their live action rights. That part could be plausible. I still think it's bullshit because I don't see it happening. And even if it did happen, I think it's gonna be garbage.
It'll be garbage.
Yeah,
You
I
can't,
don't think
there's some like you just said. One Punch Man doesn't work. Probably wouldn't work in live action. Dragon Ball's another one that probably wouldn't work in live action. Dude, no way.
the only one that did,
no.
and you reminded me. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm in the minority, but I liked Ghost in the Shell
Ghost
as
in
well.
the Shell was fine.
I didn't think it was horrible, and all the people out there was like, "Oh, Scarlett Johansson's not Asian." I was like, "Well, the freaking Major's body wasn't Asian either. If you know anything about
No,
the
it was
manga,
not.
it was built by freaking Russians, and it was
I thought it
supposed
was German.
Before I read it was Russian, but it wasn't
Russian,
Japanese.
Right.
And if you watch the movie, Ghost in the Shell in the movie, if you go back when that one body got hit by that car and they find it looked just like the Major. Why did it look just like the Major? Because it's a friggin' mass-produced body.
model. Yeah.
And it's not a Japanese look.
Now look, we can get into the whole
we don't need to go
metaphysical
there.
conversation about, does a cybernetic body, the soul that inhabits it, is it Asian? Is it white? Is it black?
Does it
no,
matter?
It doesn't
I'm
matter.
gonna put it to you this way.
Yeah, it doesn't
I'll
matter.
put it to you this way. If a white man suddenly inhabits my body, that does not make my credit score go up when I walk into the
It sure doesn't.
I like that.
So straight up, whatever's
Yeah, I
on
like
the,
that.
what you see on the outside is what you're judged by. 'Cause
Right,
it
exactly.
It don't matter if I suddenly am an Asian man. That don't mean that all of a sudden
Yeah,
I
you're
can
still
walk
you.
in. Right. It's like that don't
Still
mean I
you.
can all of a sudden walk into some place where mainly Asians would be accepted immediately with no second thoughts. I'm still a black man walking
Yeah,
into
they're not gonna
whatever.
know.
So that's
Watch Altered Carbon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
that
Or
doesn't
watch
change.
that excellent old school Robin Williams movie, What Dreams May Come. That was a great movie, man.
That
I
movie
loved
was annoying.
it. The movie was great.
No, it was.
I only watched it once. I
it
don't
was.
remember
It
much of
was.
it.
It was good in the sense of what the story they were telling.
Yeah.
But the effects was what they was trying to push in that thing, and it was
Oh
just
yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
this is
yeah,
really,
yeah, that,
this
yeah,
is, this
yeah,
is cheese.
yeah. I'll give you that. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next topic. So, let's hit it. So hey y'all, have you seen that the Peacock network is the newest streaming service on the block? It's NBC's, come on, don't boo, man. Everybody needs stuff to watch. Everybody's gonna have their own streaming
I
service.
agree that everybody needs stuff to watch. I'm just tired of all this streaming
Everybody's gonna have their own
services,
streaming
bro.
services by the time this is over anyway. So
Fuck
the Peacock
cable.
network, is bringing back some of their classic IPs. Saved by the Bell and Punky Brewster. Now, the Saved by the Bell one, I think people have been somewhat asking for a little bit. I mean, we've seen the Funny or Die, Zach Morris's trash kind of recaps of the Saved by the Bell show, and those things are hilarious if you've never watched them before. I'm sure
They are.
you have to be living on a rock to have not seen Zach Morris's trash. But the way they're doing the Saved by the Bell, remake now, it's going to be different, evolved. It's not going to be filmed in front of a studio audience. There's not going to be a laugh track or anything like that. So it's going to be a little bit different. But Punky Brewster is coming back as it's going to be new flavor. Punky's like 30, 40 years older. She's a single mom raising kids and stuff like that. So it'll be pretty neat. What did you think of the trailers when you saw them? Super Nerd, you used to watch Saved by the Bell back in the day. You used to watch all those NBC 90s shows like California Dreams and stuff like that. So what did you think of the trailer when you saw it?
I think it's gonna be great because of the simple fact the writers from 30 Rock are doing it.
Yeah.
So basically, you know that's gonna be hilarious. So it's gonna be probably those weird moments they're gonna have, like in 30 Rock, or just something so obscure to the left that it's definitely gonna be modernized, but it's still gonna be funny as hell. I think it's still gonna capture that Saved by the Bell feeling, but definitely older because we grew up with it.
So you really think it's gonna be like really tongue in cheek, a lot of the writing that like 30 Rock had?
I think so. But I think it's gonna be in a part where it's gonna be like memorable, like jokes and stuff like that. I think it's really gonna hit off. And the reason I'm saying that is because if you watch 30 Rock from season 1 till season whatever they had, everything was hilarious, especially with Tracy Morgan and all the other casts and characters on there. I think they're gonna slightly change some of the cast a little bit to make them more quirky. So I think you're gonna see a different side of them. That's gonna make it more funny. Especially you see how Slater is back at Bayside as
Yeah.
a coach.
Did that like surprise you? Like seeing that Slater, the jock who was, who I don't want to say that he was earmarked for success, but it seemed like he was gonna probably. And I guess this is like something that happens to everybody that goes through high school. Everybody that goes through high school has that guy that seems like they're really gonna make it. You know, Slater's like, you know, classically handsome. He's built. You think that he'd go on to be like really successful, like a model or athlete or something like that, right?
You do
And then
realize
you
that
see-
usually never works, right?
Right.
Well, no, I'm just saying.
what
I'm just
about
saying.
AC
The
Slater
perception
what about
usually
AC Slater
is.
makes you think that?
I don't
No,
think that's
I'm just
perception.
saying the perception was
Usually
that.
the perception that I've seen is like people who have been football stars, but they're like Al Bundy.
Exactly.
They freaking are like that in high school, and they never move forward because they have a big ass head. And
Right.
they don't grow.
I'm really trying to
From a
figure
lot
out
of
what,
that
like
stuff.
where you think
I'm
Slater.
just saying. A lot of
Slater
people
was
have
slated
that.
for-
Have that perception
No.
of people when you're in high school. You have that perception of people
No.
like when they look like a certain type. Like, oh yeah,
No,
this guy is
because
gonna be what?
Remember Johnny
listen,
and-
hold on. I knew girls in high school that was amazing. Now they got about 4, 5 kids and divorced, and it's like, damn, what happened?
What happened to you, right?
Here's the thing.
You were the
Slater,
shit.
Slater,
Right.
Slater was gullible, man. He fell for damn near everything.
Everything that Zach put on him.
So
Yeah.
what makes you think anybody that's gullible is ever going to be a success?
I don't have an answer
I
for
mean,
that.
I mean,
Exactly.
But not only that, I mean, you think that Zach seems like he would kind of be like Johnny from Karate Kid because he was the popular guy and everybody loved
I
him
mean,
and
but
blah, blah, blah.
Zach didn't have a mean streak like Johnny did.
Zach was mean as fuck, bro.
I mean, if you look
if
at
you
Zach
look at-
Morris's trash,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
It has nothing to do with the
Zach
Zach
was
Morris trash.
conniving.
Exactly.
He was
Zach,
conniving
Zach,
as shit.
Zach being the governor in the show now makes perfect sense because the way he operates is exactly like a politician.
Yeah.
He says one thing, completely does it, another, or uses people, to whatever point, to whatever means or whatever end he needs them. And then, because like, for example, Screech. How many times does he use Screech for like his various
Bro,
schemes?
he
All the
fucked
time.
over
Like, it was
Screech
damn near
so
every
many
week.
times.
It was
Right.
damn near every week that he used Screech.
He almost
He's
fucked
dated-
over Belding's wife.
Didn't he date every one of the major girls in the
Yes,
show?
he did.
So
Basically.
Yes,
Zach,
he did.
So Zach essentially is born to be a politician the way he's written in that show.
Zach
Norris
dated
is
every
trying.
girl, every main girl in the show, even Tori, who was only on there for half of a season, and he also got with every summer girl that was on the show.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So it's like Zach is written. Zach is the blueprint for success in the way the world works because again, he, like Super Nerd said, is conniving. So yeah, he's gonna definitely ascend. Slater, to me, like just the way he is, it's like, dude, you're gonna be the gym coach or the gym teacher, and I think that is what he is anyway.
You think that because his dad was in the army, I think it was he a lieutenant
dude,
or something like that?
That's fine.
Yeah.
Military, you always respect the military. There's nothing wrong with that. But that is not a path to success unless you yourself join the military too. Like if his dad was like a general or like an admiral,
Probably would've
okay,
pushed him.
cool. Exactly. He would have pushed him, into the military or something like that. And then with that
Wait.
type of high connection, yeah, he would have had some type of like, success. But him just being the jock, okay, that's a dime a dozen. How many jocks from high school make it to the pros?
Not many. Not many at all.
So
Wait, I thought Slater's dad was a high-ranking.
I thought he
military
was
guy.
too. I couldn't remember, but I thought he was too.
coming out of the chat, Q from Q Review says that over on Facebook says that he gives Punky Brewster 1 season.
I could see that.
I
You know,
personally
honestly,
don't
I
think
could
it
see
should have
that.
came back because
Why?
the whole point of Punky Brewster, first off, was her being like this homeless, bright, cheery-eyed, nothing can get her down, and just randomly finds this old-ass grumpy person. Think of it, what was it, The Odd Couple? It was probably, you can call it a remake of The Odd Couple with a kid and this
And an
old-ass
older guy,
man that basically adopted her. So unless that's reliving that, she's not the same person. Nobody as a kid is the same person as
Well,
an adult.
I think that's part of the reason why they're doing it is because
they just
Punky
tryna-
was this ultra, positive, always forward-thinking, bright side of life type person, and now you see her. She's a single mom with how many kids? I don't know how many kids. I think she got 2 or 3 kids, and now she's a single mom and she's down on her luck, and she's not married.
Okay, hold on. See,
that type
It
of
kind
thing.
of loses it.
It
Yeah.
does. It
It
loses
just-
a
But
lot
it's,
of it.
it's supposed to be about her regaining that optimism
How?
for life. I don't know. You gotta watch the show, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. That, it
Oh,
kind of loses
nah,
whole
dude.
tension of what it was originally. So I think that's something
Exactly.
that shouldn't have been remade. Now,
Right.
Gilligan's Island should have been remade.
What? No, no,
Now,
no.
here's the thing. Going back real quick for the Punky
Hell
Brewster thing
nah.
before we run out of time. The Punky Brewster thing is like you literally took it from she, like Dido said, she ran into this older guy that adopted her, gave her a better life or whatever. Then it's just like, okay, this is SNL sketch, territory of, oh dang, well she sucks now. She's down on her luck, single mom, all these kids. It's like, what was the point of her having an entire show to empower her and make her better if we're literally gonna just jump into, yeah, but she sucked at it though. She had a better life, but she sucked at it.
Yeah.
It didn't work. I'm like, what the hell?
I don't get that one. It's just like they're just trying to bring stuff back. Like they brought that One Day at a Time back on Netflix. Then they brought back Full House, which I don't
Right.
think should have been brought
What was
back.
it, Fuller House?
Fuller
something?
House.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what was that? It was another one that they also brought back. I thought
Remember, was it Dallas?
they brought back
Yeah, they
Dallas.
brought
They brought back Dallas on TNT, and that was
Wow.
actually pretty good. I like that.
It's
But
just
that's
like
just me.
it's just I understand wanting to do that because it's an easy cash grab for nostalgia. I
Right.
get it. Happens to us in the video game
All
world.
the time.
Happens to us in the movie
Yeah,
world.
all the time.
But for TV shows, I'm pretty gosh darn sure they could just, like how I said Punky Brewster is a remake of The Odd Couple. Why don't they just do something like that? Just take the freaking
They
plot
tried
or
to
something.
do that. They tried to do that.
I don't mean for Punky Brewster. I just mean for any show. Like
Right.
you could do Knight Rider, but instead of Knight Rider being a car or a helicopter, it's a goddamn android or some shit. And I don't know. I'm just throwing stuff out there. It's a
Right.
goddamn android wants to be a superhero, doesn't know how to be a superhero, gets his freaking stuff from watching like anime or something like that, and tries to become a superhero or something like that. It's just that's something.
Q says Boy Meets World.
Yeah, they did
Yeah,
do that
there's a
too with
Girl
Girls
Meets
Meets
World.
World.
Yeah.
And they just basically it was a
Girl Meets World.
continuation because it was their kid instead of I'm just like, I mean,
I think only 2 seasons only lasted with that.
I didn't watch any of them.
It did.
So
Yeah,
like
only
it's just
two
it's
seasons.
not it's not
if
enough.
If they were gonna do anything with it, they could have just basically just redid the story with her being a successful whatever, and she finds a new kid or something.
Exactly.
Something like that. But her being a single mom down on her luck, it's like, okay, so you went from being a kid homeless down on your luck to getting adopted, having a better life put in front of you, to, okay, now you're a woman
Single mom.
down on her luck
Yeah.
with a bunch of kids. Or, who again, I don't know how many kids, but it's just
Right.
like what is going to be the catalyst to get her to turn around? Because it's like, for me, it's like, if you've already, it can't be bringing in another kid, because you already got, multiple kids that you got to take care of to begin with. So what is it going to be, her meeting some guy? We haven't seen
Freddie
that
Prinze
story
Jr. is in it.
before in every other Tyler Perry movie ever.
Freddie Prinze Jr.
Hey,
is in.
are they bringing her friend back? Remember her friend from
Cherry?
the show?
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, what's the over under
Is
on
she
Cherry
still
being-
alive?
Yeah, she's. Wow. You
Damn,
thought she was
bro.
dead?
I'm just saying.
No,
I'm
only-
talking about
only-
because
Wow.
sometimes you don't know if these actors
No,
actresses
that's fair,
died.
because what's her name from Family Matters died
Yeah.
early.
She did.
Who?
Michelle
This-
Thomas.
Yeah, Steve Urkel's
Oh.
girlfriend.
Yeah.
He stopped
yeah,
thinking
true.
about
Who
Laura.
actually looked way better
She was
than Laura.
way better than Laura.
Yeah.
Way better. You put up with the attitude. You could deal with the.
She didn't really
kind
have.
of.
She was all right.
No, she
man.
didn't really. Yeah, she didn't really have the annoying attitude. Really.
Laura
really,
was-
no, she didn't.
right
Laura
there, when
was-
she showed up, I'm like, Laura who?
Right.
I do have to
Exactly,
say
I
that
did
Punky
say that.
Brewster
Hey,
was my
you know
first
what?
crush.
How long? How long until Family Matters gets remade?
Oh gosh, please no.
Yeah, the
Hey,
Urkel,
you should do the
Urkel
whole
and his
TJF
kids.
Friday, dude.
Huh? What'd you say?
Just remake the whole TJF Friday.
No.
Shit.
Step
Perfect
by step.
Strangers, Step by
Man,
step.
whatever.
Because step by step, if you think about it, it was
step.
just a Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
True. It's
Why
Modern
they
Brady
get-
Bunch.
Whatever.
It's
Just
Modern Brady
remake it.
Bunch.
Y'all,
Yeah.
y'all have fun with that.
Yeah. No,
Yo.
no, I'm good. I'm good on that. I'm good, man.
Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
I mean, hell,
Hell yeah.
that was my joint.
I loved hanging
That
with
was
Mr.
my
Cooper.
joint. I used to love
was
hanging
my
with Mr.
favorite
Cooper.
one.
That was my joint.
I watch it on Hulu right now.
I'm sure you are, Mr.
Q
Mr.
says she only 42. She is a year younger than me. I knew it was something like that.
Who, Slay Moon Fry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody knows it all about
all
when
right.
she lost on purpose.
Yeah.
She had reduction when she was younger because
Oh,
it was
yeah.
just too much.
Speaking of, she
Too
was on
much
Saved by the
TBD.
Bell, too. That's right.
Who?
I remember.
Who?
Slay Moon Fry.
Oh, she was?
Yeah, she was.
That's who?
She was as naturally as one of Zach's love interests.
Oh.
naturally.
I watched Saved by the Bell, but I didn't like watch it. I probably watched maybe 20, 25
I
episodes.
mean, dude, how could you not? It was like on
I
endless
watched-
syndication
I'm not gonna
get-
reruns
when-
on TBS.
When I was
and
growing up,
TNT.
I watched certain things that I did like, but I was more wanting to watch cartoons. Cartoons was my thing, and if I didn't want to, if it was a cartoon, if it was a black and white television show, I just tuned out. Didn't want to watch it. And if it was live action, for the most part, I just didn't care. I wanted to watch a lot of cartoons.
Hand of Omega over on YouTube says Soleil Moonfire was a supporting character on Sabrina the Teenage Witch for a while.
Oh,
And
really?
she was. That's right. Yes, she was.
Really?
So
I didn't
is
watch much
right.
of that, but I did watch that new Sabrina that's on friggin' Netflix. That one is fire.
Okay.
Fire.
She's alive.
Oh, yeah, I checked that she is alive.
Yeah, she's alive. Yeah, she's 44. So
Okay.
all right, so she could be. All right, anyway,
6 more years left.
that's
in
enough talk about Punky Brewster and Saved by the Bell. You know, we'll kind of revisit this topic a little bit later, and with a little bit of a spin, like the Great Data.
I'll watch the first episode if I can find it somehow.
Yeah. I love the way he's twinkling his eye. I love the way he's twinkling his nose. He look like Sam from Bewitched there. Anyway, damn, I'm like really dating myself by saying that. Anyway, moving on to This Week in Gaming.
This Week in Gaming.
You know, actually, I forget what is the lead.
Just watch
game.
the video.
Yeah, just watch the video. All right, so that was This Week in Gaming. favorite game for this week. I already know what yours is.
Oh yeah, Psychonauts was dope. Number 2 would be Mortal Kombat 9 or whatever people want to call it. But Psychonauts, I didn't buy it initially for the Xbox because I didn't have an original. I didn't get an original Xbox till I had the 360. Was late in its life because I didn't really care. But I did because Microsoft was putting some of their Xbox games for download on Xbox 360, and I say everybody talk about it was a great game. Let me download it. Downloaded it and couldn't put the goddamn thing down. If it had achievements, I would have platinumed it or got 100% achievement, whatever the heck you want to call it. It's a great game, and I also re-downloaded it for
What
my
made it great?
Xbox
Because
One.
you know, honestly, well,
The humor.
I can't relate because quirky games like that, I've never really.
Yeah, I
been
know
really
you don't have a
into.
funny bone. Like you just weren't
It's
born
not-
with
it's
it.
not
It
even
fell
about a
out.
funny
You
bone.
broke
Wow,
it when
really?
you were
No,
a kid
no, it's just-
skateboarding.
I don't-
Somebody
I don't
stole
play
it
those-
from you.
I don't play those quirky games like that. I
you
just
gave
don't.
it to your daughter. I don't know what it was. No funny bone. It's quirky. It's not just quirky. The humor in it was pretty cool. It was a pretty good platformer. I mean, it was a platformer where you were a psychic and you were in a psychic camp. And some of the stuff that you were able to do, learn, moves. It was just a really fun game. It's been a while since I played it and beat it. And I really look forward to the new one
Now,
that's supposed to be coming
Psychonauts-
out.
Psychonauts only had what, one sequel?
It
right?
was one game, and then they came out with some VR thing for the PlayStation 4,
I
which
thought it was a Psychonauts 2.
it's supposed to be coming out. Don't know when. Same thing with like that Beyond Good and Evil, which was another amazing game that we could talk about sometime in the future, hopefully.
Yeah.
But yeah,
What was your favorite game on the list?
Probably between Mortal Kombat 9 and God of War. Both of those were, exceptional games. God of War was not reimagining, but a continuation.
Yeah.
And in a sense, a reboot for the series.
Yeah.
In a weird way.
I think that one caught a lot of people it caught some people by surprise by how good it was, because even at the time when God of War had kind of like been getting long in the tread, some people felt like it was kind of like done to death, I guess, in some way.
God of War was
Yeah.
God of War was good every single time around.
Yeah. Well,
so-
some people, I mean, I'm just saying, like some people,
those-
some
those-
IPs,
those people
like
are
Tomb Raider,
odd.
right? Like Tomb Raider needed that fresh coat of paint. Like we talked about Tomb Raider Legend.
Tomb Raider wasn't good after 2 and on the PlayStation.
I don't know. I never played any of Tomb Raiders.
Tomb Raider 3 was
Not a
like,
single one.
Tomb
I played the
Raider 3
demo
was-
of the first one.
Yeah, Tomb Raider 3 was like, Tomb Raider 4 was like, Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness was complete
Garbage.
And then like they were like, okay, we got to do something. And then that's when they rebooted it and it became good again. And that's when you got your Tomb Raider Legend that came around, Tomb Raider Anniversary.
Yeah, I got those.
Yep. And then after the reboot when Crystal Dynamics took over, then it really took off. But Tomb Raider, like after 2, was garbage, like on the PlayStation.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you because I played the original demo and I thought it was okay, but it was not enough that was going on in the game that made me want to actually buy it. Most people I think bought Tomb Raider because of Lara Croft and polygon boobies.
Polygon boobs. Yeah, big polygon boobs. Anyway,
At the time, Tomb Raider was the first of its kind.
Yeah, it was something
It
new.
was a 3D, not so much truly open world. I mean, obviously you had levels and various obstacles and
Right.
barriers, but the run and gun gaming and the puzzle solving and all that, and the way it was done well.
I want to hear
Might
some.
go back and play it. Well, no, I'm gonna play the anniversary because
Yeah.
No,
you need
not
you
Anniversary.
play Anniversary because the
You
controls
play,
are better.
Yeah,
you
I
can
got
play,
the Anniversary.
Yeah, play Anniversary. But I want to hear some people that said that Dynasty Warriors Gundam 2 was their favorite game, because honestly, a lot of people.
Well, Hendo Omega's in the chat.
really
Oh, he
like-
loves those Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah, because
games.
like the only time I played Dynasty Warriors ish games like 2 times in my life. Once I played it on PlayStation, Dynasty Warriors. But remember that fighting game that was on PlayStation a long time ago.
I recently bought that.
We used to play the shit out of that game back in the
Yeah.
day. Remember, we used to play the shit out of the game, and those were the only 2 Dynasty Warrior games I ever played, because I felt like it was basically the same game over and over and over and over again. It was basically the modern day beat 'em up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
modern day
basically
beat 'em
what it
up.
is.
So when you then they add the Gundam IP to that, and you're just like, oh hey, that's kind of cool. And I think a lot of anime fans really did enjoy it.
Probably
So I
just
would love
because it was that.
Yeah, probably because it was that. So I would love to hear, from some people in the chat that were really feeling the Dynasty Warrior Gundam games. But, let's go ahead and talk about Mortal Kombat 9. This is how, and we talked about Mortal Kombat 9 a little bit, last week, because Mortal Kombat 10 came out last week in the course of history. But, Mortal Kombat 9 was still the best game to me in the franchise. You know, if for nothing else than the story mode. The story mode was just unbelievable. It was just unbelievable.
And Kratos was in the PlayStation 3 version.
Wait a minute. So wait, Mortal Kombat 9 had Kratos in the PlayStation
And
version,
Freddy Krueger.
and it had who was there was somebody exclusive in the Xbox
No,
version.
there wasn't.
No, they didn't put anybody in it. It was just Freddy Krueger.
There was essentially no reason to even buy the Xbox One when that one came out
Yep.
because they had the complete edition, and it was just like even if you get complete edition on Xbox, it ain't complete.
Yep.
Because there's a whole character missing.
Yep. I didn't care about it on that one. I got it on PlayStation.
Wasn't there?
No. Xbox got
Wasn't there
nothing.
some kind of
you're thinking of
Easter
Soul
egg?
Calibur.
Was there some kind of Easter egg about Green Lantern being in the Mortal Kombat?
Not that
Or
I'm
was that-
aware of.
That was the other way around. Scorpion was in Injustice.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, okay.
I just knew Freddy Krueger was in Mortal Kombat, and that was it.
Yeah, Freddy Krueger. And that's when it started putting all the.
All
I
the
hope
horror-ass
Midway
characters.
just
Yeah.
does a freaking. Because Mortal Kombat has had so far Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees,
Michael Myers.
Alien, Predator.
Yeah,
Michael Myers been in one of
I
them?
think he's been in one of them. Yeah.
Well, no, Michael Myers. is out.
Leatherface.
No.
No, Leatherface.
Leatherface.
They put
Sorry,
Leatherface in there.
Leatherface, okay.
Leatherface.
Ash is supposed to be showing up.
Yep, you've had an alien in one of them.
Yep. The
So we're just gonna
Xenomorph.
go ahead and have like
I hope they do
a
because
fighting game of horror movie characters.
that'd be great. They actually came out with when I say they,
Unofficially, yeah.
an unofficial horror fighting game with the official they had all the people we just mentioned in there, including
Chucky.
Chucky was in it,
Candyman.
Ghostface, Candyman.
Yeah, pretty much everybody you can think of. was
Yeah, a
found
whole
in there.
bunch of them. And I hope that Midway, because I think Midway being owned by WB probably has the rights to a hell of a lot of them.
They do.
They go ahead and make one. I think it'd be kind of cool.
They'd have to work at. Well, let me see. New Line. Does WB own New Line?
Is
I
New
forgot.
Line even still around?
New Line is still out there. It's just they're owned by somebody right now. I forgot exactly who. But that
Look
would
that
get
up
you.
real quick. Yep, it's a label of the Warner Brothers picture.
Yeah, so that gets you your Freddy Krueger and your Jason. That's why of course they were in Mortal Kombat. Some of the
And
other
that's why
ones-
I
Turtles
wonder how
is
can they never
in.
put the Universal monsters in there?
Universal
How
is
can
still
they never put the
Universal
Universal Studio monsters in there?
because you got to get it from Universal.
Well, I'm just saying they can still. That's what I'm saying. I'm surprised that's the only ones they haven't put in yet was the Universal monsters, like
But
Dracula,
Gotta get
Mummy,
them rights.
You got to remember
Christian Black
the rights for those are probably almost impossible to get because that's why you always have characters like Dimitri from Dogstalkers. We all know he's Dracula, but he isn't. You know,
but
you
he's
get-
basically a Dracula
yeah,
allegory.
Exactly. So it's like you're always going to have people that are like them, but there ain't no way in the world you're going to get the real ones because those licenses are just too expensive.
Yeah.
What was your guys' favorite game out in there in the Chatvilles? Come on,
Yeah.
and let us know which
so
one.
Hannah
to go.
Omega was
Yeah.
saying he liked. What was it? He said he liked Samurai Warriors better, and Devil Kings was pretty fun too.
Oh, out of Dynasty
Yeah,
Warriors.
but then he also threw in this caveat. He said if Star Wars ever put out a Jedi Dynasty Warriors style game, that would be awesome.
I think it would be cool.
That
They
would
should have
be
did it in the
pretty
Clone
sweet.
Wars because they
Yeah,
could
that
have all
would
the
be
freaking
pretty
robots.
sweet. I have to
could've.
admit. Yeah,
Hand of Omega Jason Voorhees was in Mortal Kombat 10.
yeah. DBLK Inc. Says God of War was his favorite.
Nice.
Yeah,
I need to get
he
it.
said he also enjoyed the character development for Kratos in that one.
Yeah,
Really?
Yep.
I gotta.
I still gotta get it, man. I still gotta play it.
Dude, they made it cheap.
I'm
They
sure
made
they
it
have.
cheap.
It's only $20 or something like that sometimes.
I saw it 14. I saw that Spider-Man for 14 somewhere too. And I
But it was
like,
the old one,
You
didn't
just
it?
kicked
No,
yourself.
it was the Game
it
of the
was
Year.
Complete Edition.
Oh, it was
I only
Game of
kicked
Year?
myself
Yeah, it was
because
Game of the Year.
I got the Game of the Year one for $20, and I also have the non-Game of the
And
Year.
wasn't it
one.
like a week or so later? It was
No,
like
it was
$14?
a few months, but
No, it was a few
it's just like sometimes just like, oh gosh, man.
No, I
should've
did some
waited
smooth
longer.
stuff. How I got my Game of the Year edition.
Really? What'd you
I
do?
bet.
What'd you do? What'd you
It
do?
was a price match.
Oh yeah.
It ain't smooth. That's regular.
Well, no, the thing was, it was back up to full price, and somehow Walmart. I went to Target, and Walmart had like online. It was like $20. I'm like, bet. Here you go.
Price match.
Whatever. You did a
Waffles.
no, not even a waffles. That's
Nah.
that's can I see your manager? That's
He did a
Karen.
Karen.
He did a Karen.
People to Karen.
Well, no, because I used to work there, so I know how it goes.
Oh, of course. But either way it goes, that's still a Karen. Can I see your manager move?
Hand of Omega is saying Universal monsters are in the public domain. Are they really though?
Man, no.
I don't think so.
Absolutely not.
I don't think so.
They pulled a Disney there now, but if
Yeah.
that they did because Mickey Mouse is supposed to be public domain. Superman is supposed to be public domain, and they make too much money, so they got their lobbyists.
I guarantee you, there's some company somewhere that if you try to go out and make a Dracula movie without putting Bram Stoker's or some other caveat to it, you're not going to be able to do it. So I don't know. We can put that one to the test one of these days.
Yeah. Spider-Man had a great story. DBLK Inc. says, Spider-Man had a great story. We got a little repetitive on some things for me. Blasphemy! Such blasphemy. Don't ever.
If it got
But there's one game we forgot to talk about.
What's that?
The Walking Dead.
Nobody liked that game.
Really?
No, that's not true. That's not true. Nah, that's not true.
I only played
That
The Wolf
is not
Among
true.
Us, and I wanted to play The Walking Dead.
The Telltale
Walking
Dead series was pretty damn good. It was.
I beat all of them except I gotta get the last one, but I pretty much played all of them.
I got them for free when they were giving away for free.
It is a shame that Telltale went under because they'll never really be able to kind of complete the story they wanted to complete. But they made, for being a completely original, game or even story structure, they made some pretty compelling characters. Clementine is one of the better original characters. That's what I meant to bring up in Run the Gamut. But we'll bring it up next week because the finale of Clone Wars is going to be this Friday.
Before we move on, answer to your question, the book of Dracula is in public domain because it says Stoker did not register for a copyright on Dracula in the United States. So Dracula was created by Bram Stoker via the book. I'm pretty sure you can do whatever the heck you want in this country and use the name Dracula without paying anybody.
I don't know about that. I wouldn't be running that risk.
Says it right here.
I wouldn't be running that risk. I'm sorry.
And that's two different parts. It says as a result of a current public domain status, the full text of Dracula is widely available on the internet where it can be appreciated by scholars and new audience at no cost.
No, that's the book.
That's what it means. Yeah, that's the book. And you could take stuff, what you call it, from the book, because how in the heck is somebody going to say, okay, the book is not public domain.
I understand that aspect of it. Yeah, but okay, well, whatever.
Who owns the rights to Dracula? That's another one. It was copyrighted in the United States in 1899, a publication by Doubleday, but Universal Studios purchased the rights. It came to light that Bram Stoker had not completed the portion of U.S. copyright law placing the novel in public domain. So the novel's in public domain. Maybe Universal owns his likeness, but I don't think you can say, if I called you Dracula and made a movie called Dracula, I don't think they can do anything because you don't look like their Dracula.
Yeah, no, I understand that aspect of it, but either way it goes, the classic story of Dracula is the one that people like to identify with. That's why you can get stuff like Vampire in Brooklyn and all that other sort of thing.
Right.
Because it's inspired by, but it is not a direct copy of.
Right.
And again, it's okay, matter of fact, I think DBO King actually brought it up. He said Blumhouse is thinking of doing a modern Dracula because of Invisible Man's success. So
I am going to watch that pretty soon. I know I will. Did you get it on for your collection?
No.
You're not gonna get it for your collection?
No, I might eventually at some point. I'll review it if I get it.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Speaking of review it, if you haven't gone to our Culture Junkies YouTube channel, you should go there now. This man put out an excellent review of Gemini Man yesterday. Will Smith on Will Smith going against Will Smith and playing Will Smith. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. So we're gonna move on to the next thing. We have more games topics to talk about coming right up.
Random fandom.
Take it away, Dado.
Hey, everybody. The random fandom today was completely random for us because we want to talk a little bit about Sega's Master System. No, it's no anniversary going on. Who cares? It's a very underappreciated system. If it did not have the handcuffs of which was contracts by Nintendo and their developers, it would have given them a run for his money. Don't believe me? Ask the rest of the world, because Europe and South America, the Master System reigned supreme.
Really?
Kicked Nintendo's ass in both of them.
Really?
Even so that it was still being produced in South America until a few years ago. They were still putting games out on the Master System.
What?
Until a few years ago in Brazil.
On cartridges?
On cartridges.
Street Fighter 2 is on the Master
Yes,
System.
Street Fighter
What?
officially is on there.
Wild.
Mortal Kombat is on there officially. There's tons of games that did not get released. It's just in America because Nintendo had that stuff, and probably in Japan. I don't know how it did in Japan. It was called the SG-1000, I think, over in Japan. But in Europe, I watch a lot of YouTube about people in Britain. The NES was not a thing in Europe.
NES was mainly over
the
here.
Master
So
System
it was really Japan and here
United
that,
States
that Nintendo
took off.
Okay, so what is it that made the Master System such an awesome system?
Dude,
you?
it was an 8-bit system, but graphically, it was 8-bit. It just looked better than
Was
the
it?
NES.
Yeah.
It could do more colors than the NES.
Well, one of the things that it had, like, it was the only place you could find, like, wasn't it Arcade Perfect Space Area and Hang On?
I wouldn't
No,
say it's
they're-
arcade perfect.
no.
They
No?
did a
They were
very
just good.
good, but it's not arcade perfect. I have of course, the Hang On because it came with that Safari Hunt, and it looks, okay. It plays okay, but it's not like the arcade. But it had Sega's games. It had some pretty cool games out there that I wish I played a lot more as a kid because I got to play Master System when I was younger, a few games here and there. But it wasn't until I became a lot older as an adult that I started, digging into it and finding out stuff. The Sonic the Hedgehog games on there were different than the Genesis ones. They were just as fun. I think the Genesis ones were better.
Oh,
Because,
of course, yeah.
Come on now. But they had the Mickey Mouse games on there. Like they made another Castle. I don't know if
Castle
it was
of Illusion.
Yeah. Donald Duck has some games. There was a Ninja Gaiden that came out for the Master System that
Really?
looks better than the NES one. People probably wouldn't think it's as fun. I have not played that one,
Wait,
but it looks.
is it the arcade one? Oh,
No,
it's
it
its
look
own-
it's
Good question. I was gonna
like
ask
the
that.
NES one,
Oh, okay.
where it's side scrolling and all that other stuff, but it's not the exact same game. There's a game called what the hell's the name of this game? It's called Master of Darkness, which, lack of a better sense, it's a Castlevania clone, which is just like, why? I wish I knew about these things. Like seriously, I mean the system came out and you had cartridges you can play with. It also had cards like the TurboGrafx 16. I have no idea why you have two different formats for one system.
I thought
That's
one of
kinda
them. I
weird.
thought one of them was a memory card.
No, they were
Oh, they
game
actually had
cards.
card games?
Yeah,
Okay.
which that to
Now,
me is wild.
one thing I do remember about the Master System, a friend of mine had it. It was one of the first systems where you could turn it on with nothing in it, and it had a game built in. And I forgot, was it Alex Kidd?
They had two different games. One was some snail game, and another one was Alex Kidd. They just put it right in there. So
Now, Alex Kidd was supposed to be their mascot before
before
Sonic, right?
and he had more than one game. I think there was like 4 or 5 of them on the Master System. They had like Alex Kidd in Miracle World, Alex Kidd in Shinobi World. I'm like,
I kind of remember that.
yeah. And one of the bosses is Mario, where he looks like Mario, and then you friggin',
Nice.
before you defeat him, he shrinks.
Yep.
And that was definitely a play on Mario. What's the name of that damn game that's so oh yeah, Fantasy Star, like come on.
Oh, right. That's where
That-
it originated.
Yeah,
Fantasy Star. Yeah.
originated on there, and I remember a dude.
Because
in
like it had the original Fantasy Star. Fantasy Star 2 didn't come out until the Genesis.
I think 2
right?
and 3, 2, 3, and 4 was on the Genesis.
And I think
remember correctly.
I think even as a kid I was like, okay, Fantasy Star 2. I said, where's Fantasy Star 1?
Yeah.
I never played it.
I personally was never really into RPGs. But there was a dude that was in my neighborhood that had it and claimed that he couldn't beat the game because it was missing a chip. And I was telling GQ over there, I was like, it's bullshit. You know how kids be lying.
yeah.
I was like, get the fuck out of here. But that's one of the games I actually want to play as Fantasy Star because I like to play. Like I played through the original Final Fantasy. It was not the NES one. It was the remake that came out on Game Boy.
Yeah.
Game Boy Advance. Same damn game, better graphics, and whatnot. I'd like to go through Fantasy Star. They came out with a 3D remake for it on the PlayStation 2, but I don't think it came out in the United States because a lot of Sega games got remade for PlayStation 2 with 3D graphics. We got a collection over here. They put a collection, Outrun, Golden Axe, Fantasy Zone, a few of them were on the collection, but they did a lot more in Japan, and they were all individual games, and I think Fantasy Star 1 was one of them. And maybe I'll track it down and see if they got a patch for it. But besides that, like the Master System is one of those systems that I think people should talk about more, should get a little bit more praise than it gets, because we all grew up on Nintendo. It was just Nintendo, period. And like, people who had a Master System, I hate saying this, you kind of look down on those people like, all right, you couldn't get a Nintendo, blah, blah, blah.
I mean-
and that's unfortunate because it shouldn't have been something to look down on at all.
It's hard to say we look down on them.
Oh,
but we
kids
just
did.
because that's what kids are cruel. That's what they do. They like playing classics games. So, but I think it was more or less it was just Master System wasn't as interesting. It didn't attract you
Well, it
when you
wasn't
were
so much
younger.
that. It wasn't marketed well over here
Yeah.
at all.
Not at all.
It essentially was because again, Double Dragon on the Master System was 2-player, unlike the Nintendo one.
Mm-hmm.
You had Shinobi on there, which was amazing. Now, obviously, Tengen unofficially brought Shinobi to the Nintendo, but guess what the version they tried to copy was? The Master System version.
Mm-hmm.
So it was this. The Master System had a lot of things going for it. It just Nintendo owned the United States.
Yeah,
like
100%.
Like he said, they made sure that it was hard to get cartridges, or they made sure that it was hard to get any games from any of the third parties.
From the third parties, right?
They had them
locked
lock.
in. Yeah, they had them
Like
locked
they
in.
were
as exclusive
true
contract.
mafia back then.
Yeah.
You make
And-
games for us. You only make games
Right.
for us.
So Nintendo was cutthroat back in the early, the late 80s, early 90s.
They definitely took advantage of, I think, a lot of companies. I guess, how could you term that? Would you phrase it
Nintendo
as
had the market share. They
well, no.
literally think about it.
They didn't have to sign that contract though.
It has not, dude. You got to remember, all of these, not all of them, but a lot of these game companies, some of them were around during the Atari crash. So if you got a whole new, big boy on the market that's making bank and selling systems hand over fist, and people can't get a hold of them, and people want games, who are you going to go to make games? Well, yeah, I'm going to make games for the company that's got like one in almost every home in America, or at least
Right.
every couple of homes. You think about it. All of us knew somebody that had a Nintendo. If we had our own, of
Yeah,
course,
we had our own,
but
yeah.
everybody we knew had
Right.
one.
Next
Or
door
is this-
neighbors
yeah.
or kids across the street.
So
Yeah, everybody.
if that's the landscape, okay, Sega's over here like, yeah, we got a system too. Like, yeah, that's
Hey,
nice.
what about us guys?
That's nice, but
Yeah.
are you going if there's only 50 systems out there? I'm sorry, 50 households to go to,
Yeah.
and 3 of them have the Master System, the other 47 have Nintendo. Guess who you gonna sign with?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta make sales.
Yep.
So
Making that money.
in America they had it on lockdown. In Japan, again, like you said, Sega, there was more competition because you had the PC Engine that eventually came up.
Yep.
Then you had, like you said, the SG-1, which of course is the Master System over there. So there was more competition, and Nintendo still did their thing. But over here, man,
Forget it.
Because don't forget just how much bigger America is than Japan.
Yeah.
Just as far as its people.
Right.
Like, yes,
10
you have a
times as
high,
bigger.
you have a high concentration of people in Tokyo and in various parts of Japan, but that doesn't compare to like California, Chicago,
Right.
New York, and the rest of the country. So yeah,
I don't know the official population in Japan. My brain says it's 100 million. If it is, that's a lot for.
It's
freaking that
definitely
small-ass
it's a
country.
lot of people over there without a doubt. But you still have to think of it in terms of, okay, how many of them are going to own a Nintendo? How many of them are going to own
a lot
a,
of them.
No, they're going to, and that's fine. But it's not this. It's not that same spread that you get in the United States, or then again you throw in Europe as well. But over there, Sega had more of a foothold. In
They had a
Europe.
big time foothold mainly because of the arcades. Because Sega put out shit ton of games. In
Oh yeah,
arcades.
no, Sega owned the arcade scene
Yeah.
without a doubt. In Japan, they had the arcade scene on lockdown. With that was their thing for sure.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that people wanted to buy those games when they came home.
Yep.
So I think that was one of the things. Like Nintendo was for new properties, and Sega was like, "Oh, I love this game in the arcade. Let me get it when it came
And it was
home."
almost like Nintendo back in their day. I don't want to say they abandoned the arcades, but they knew that
they basically abandoned
they
the arcade.
they pretty much did. Because like Sega had a big foothold in arcades. Konami had a big foothold in arcades, and I think
Capcom.
Capcom and Taito had
Taito, yeah.
had a big foothold in the
But
arcades.
what it came down to, though, Nintendo used the arcades to get their capital to
Yep.
build Nintendo of America, because Nintendo of America was built off of the back of Donkey Kong in the arcades, and that's kind of all they needed. That their game, honestly, was just to get into every household. The arcades was fine, and it's a great place to cultivate content. But if you can put a box in basically every home in America and then sell games to everybody in America, that's kind of that to me is that's the long game versus
It
okay,
is
it's
long
great.
game.
It's great to have an arcade
How mu-
machine. How long is that
much
going to
did
last
the
you?
original Nintendo and the Genesis cost? I don't remember.
Back in the day,
Yeah.
Nintendo and the Genesis.
The Master
Yeah.
System. I
Or
don't know
the
how much
Master
the Master
System.
System costs.
Well,
I think the Master System was like $150 or something, but it came with a lot of stuff. It came with a light gun, it came
Yep.
with 2 controllers, and I think a pack-in game.
Didn't
Just
they
like
have
the-
the
just
better
like
light
the
gun
Nintendo.
too?
Oh yeah,
Didn't the Master
Yeah.
System have the better light gun?
Yeah, it was the Zapper. Not
Yeah,
a Zapper.
not the
It was
Zapper,
a
yeah.
phaser.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
the
Which is
phaser.
based off that the game called Zillion, which was based off a anime, which they had the exact same. So the anime had the gun, and they made the gun for the system,
Oh,
which I
okay.
think is kind of cool.
Yeah, I think the Nintendo at the time when it came out originally was 100 and something. Because remember, they had the Nintendo Control Deck. They had the one that came with Rob and Gyromite.
Yeah.
And then I think they had the action set came later, I believe. The one that just had the Zapper and Duck Hunt and Mario, when they were two separate cartridges. They weren't like,
I felt like I
together.
was in the bargain basement because I couldn't get the Nintendo that had Rob and Gyromite.
Dude, here's the thing. Only thing I would even want a Rob for is just the collector's status of having a fully complete Rob. Rob was worthless, man.
He was.
Because like,
If
if
you
you ever
use it for one game, right? No, wait,
no,
2 games.
It was 2 games.
Two
It was
games.
Stack Up and Gyromite.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. If you ever played Rob with Gyromite and actually tried to, it sucks. The experience was garbage. It was just like, dude, Rob, I'm trying to get, would you lower the pipe for me, dude? He'd be sitting there just for about 5 minutes, just you waiting. Because remember, you had to have the gyros on the side.
Yeah.
And they had to be spinning. Here's Rob. Moving all slow. And I'm like, dude, the things are coming up on me, dude. Can we get a little bit
Can
of
we get a move
speed
on,
out?
please?
So after a while, it was just like, skip it. You got a friend over there, or you had the setup, and you was just hitting them yourself. 'Cause it was like, dude, you're taking way too long.
It took way too long.
Yeah.
Stack Up was a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
But it was a novelty. It was definitely a toy.
So, I mean, Sega Master Systems, I guess, really, if you want to think about it, Sega Master System was just another in a long line of Sega's console failures.
I wouldn't call it a failure.
In a way.
I think it was,
said in a way.
That wasn't
I
a
would,
in a way.
Master System was a failure. Genesis wasn't a failure.
Well, in a way. I mean, because...
I would say in a way because they're
Wow.
still, it's competing against the PlayStation 4 in Brazil, bro.
Right.
The
It's-
Master
it's-
System
right.
is still
It's-
being made
you can't
and
call
sold
it, right.
in Brazil
You
today.
can't, and not only that, you can't really call the system a failure if the prevailing thing is you can't get anything released over in the States, or at least in one region. The only reason it quote unquote failed over here is because, like you said, there was not a lot of games for it, or the ones that were basically made by Sega themselves. You couldn't, like, for example, Double Dragon and Double Dragon on the NES and Double Dragon on the Master System went head to head, and the Master System one was just better. Everybody knew it was better. But at the same time, if you didn't have a Master System, guess which one you're getting it for?
The NES.
So it wasn't so much a matter of the system failing and not making the sales, but it's just Nintendo basically locked down the market over
It just
here.
wasn't fair.
Yeah, it wasn't now once the Genesis came out and then the courts lifted a lot of those third party like injunctions and whatnot, it was just like you can't make games for other people.
So wait, so they were basically backed by the courts? I thought they kind of
They
strong-armed
had
the third parties.
contracted with, for example, you know why games like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for NES was under Ultra and not Konami? Is because Nintendo said that you only can make like 2 games a year.
Yeah, 2 or 3
for
I
our
think.
system, and you can only make games for our system if you create games for our system. So they created Ultra that bypassed that stuff, so
Yeah,
they can
so
make more games.
more games per
Like,
year.
Yeah. So Nintendo was literally using.
They were the mob, dude.
Yeah, they were locking them down. That's what I said. It wasn't fair. Had it been on equal playing grounds, the NES probably would not. We would probably still have fond memories about it, but things probably would have got, because you would have been like, oh, did you see Mega Man on the freaking Master System? Look better than the NES when Mom, I want a Master System for Christmas. Stuff like that more than likely might have happened because, like I said, the system, the rest of the world loved it. I mean, Streets of Rage came out on the Master System. Streets of Rage 2 came out on the Master System.
Like I said, Nintendo was American mob
Yeah.
over here
Wow.
because they literally,
amazing.
they literally turned it into you cannot do other stuff for these companies, and these companies were like, I guess, because
What are we gonna do?
who else are we gonna sell to?
Yep.
They literally put them in that position. So that's why when the Genesis came out, more powerful hardware, this and that, and Nintendo still had just the regular Nintendo before the Super Nintendo dropped, it was like, oh, there's other stuff we can do? Oh, yeah, it's on now. And then the courts backed them up of like, oh, that's a little bit shady.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's why the Genesis and the Super Nintendo
Yeah.
were able to go neck and neck. And had Sega not pulled out early, because Nintendo was still doing stuff when PlayStation came out, and Genesis, they were like, and that's always been Sega's problem. They gave up too soon.
Yeah, Sega of America especially
Sega of America,
drops
most definitely.
stuff too fast. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, the 32X shouldn't have even existed. Not the way they did it. It's like they was trying to truly do life support on the Genesis. I'm like, dude, come on, man.
Yeah.
Just put your stuff behind the Saturn. It's coming, and then don't release it early.
It's too bad because I really did like virtual racing on when it was on 32X.
32X. Virtual Racing came out on Sega Genesis,
Yeah.
right? $100 cart, but it was amazing what they were doing.
Oh no,
Yo,
the
it
stuff,
was-
the
it
stuff
was-
they did was cool.
It
but
was
like,
fantastic,
yeah,
dude.
but
It
it was
actually-
realistically though, that the 32X should have came out a year and a half earlier
It
than
should
it
have
did.
not come out
At
at
all.
all.
It could have come out, but it shouldn't have been that close to the Saturn. It needed a year and a half separation. Like if it came out a year and a half earlier than it did,
You know what they should have did?
that might have worked. What?
They should have just took the 32X technology and put it in the Sega CD. And had they done that, that probably would have
would've
given
helped.
them a little bit, and then the Saturn could have been better.
No, the Saturn needed time.
Yeah,
'Cause
better
the
prepared.
The
Time
Saturn,
and
the Saturn,
marketing.
they just dropped it. Like,
Yeah.
here it is.
Because they didn't think.
Saturn was so dope though.
The Saturn
It
was still
was.
dope. Don't
Oh,
get me
yeah.
wrong, but the reason a lot of stuff went, at least in America, is because they built the system to be a 2D system, and then at the last minute, it was like, oh the world is
no!
changing.
Right.
We got to do 3D, and they threw in this complicated ass 3D shit.
Yeah. All right. So everybody, we can continue the conversation next because the power is yours.
The power is yours! The power is yours!
The transition.
You got that Van Damme power is yours going on.
Yep. Make sure y'all knew what was up. Make sure y'all knew the power is yours. So whatever you guys want to talk about in the chat, let's get it going.
I did see Eddie in there saying that Sega was on fire for a few years with that Madden 93. Sega was on fire with the sports games for the Genesis,
Yeah.
period.
Sega has always been a king of sports games.
Oh, yeah.
dude. Like that's definitely one thing. Much as I don't really play sports games, I remember that. Like Sega
So
was
yeah,
known.
because like when Madden came out, or when Joe Montana's talking
Man,
football,
they had Joe Montana. They had Joe Montana's talking football. They
Yeah.
had Lakers versus Celtics, Bulls versus Blazers.
Dude, that Lakers versus
They
Celtics
had
was incredible.
so much
Yeah.
stuff that was really well done. The presentation on like Bulls versus Blazers. I'm sorry, Bulls versus Lakers. Was it
They should have
Lakers?
came
Bulls
out with
versus-
Pistons
it was Bulls
versus
versus
Lakers.
Blazers.
Yeah.
It was
They
Bulls
should
versus
have had
Blazers.
Pistons versus Lakers. Pistons always get
Pistons
freaking.
always
Pistons
screwed.
always got
Pistons got no
the
respect,
shaft,
man.
dude.
Pistons got no respect.
Always
They should
got
have
no respect.
Pistons versus
'Cause it was like-
Blazers.
Even
was
when
like
they
the-
won the championship, they didn't get no respect.
Yeah.
Exactly, because it was like the year that Lakers versus Celtics came out, it should have been the Lakers versus Pistons.
Yeah.
You know, but they were just like, oh no, Lakers '87 was so awesome. We're gonna make this game based on Lakers versus Celtics. No, don't
The
make care
Pistons
about
were a
Pistons.
freaking dominant big
They
team
were.
back in the
They were.
in the 80s. Period.
But no, but like those games, I remember when those games came out on the Genesis, the Lakers versus Celtics and Bulls versus Blazers. I remember I was just mad that they weren't on Nintendo because I was like, dog, I don't have a Genesis. I was like, I want a Genesis because I want to be able to play
that
these.
was their bread and butter, man.
Yeah.
Like, those early sports games that Genesis had. But then again, what was it on the Master System? Everything was called Great This or Great That.
Great baseball,
Yeah.
great basketball,
Great
great
hockey.
football.
Was it great boxing too?
Yeah, they had great boxing,
Yeah.
great hockey. I was like, dude, can y'all?
Can you do something else,
Right,
please?
just a little. Here's the one thing about the Master System that I
NBA
do.
Live '95.
Live 95 was the shit.
Yeah. Now here's the thing about the Master System that I am going to definitely say that they need to better work on was their sports titles. The cases for them were bland.
Almost every case
Every
was
case
bland,
they
not
had
just
was
a
bland.
sport.
It was
Yeah.
like what? It was like that. It was like that wallpaper looking.
Yeah, it was like a
background.
wallpaper like grid pattern.
Yeah, like
and
a
then if it was
wallpaper background.
it was like if it was
Yeah.
great basketball, it was like a wallpaper grid pattern with a basketball being thrown up. Or if it was great soccer, wallpaper background with a soccer ball. I'm like,
Get the fuck out of here.
What's up?
James Buster Douglas knockout boxing for the friggin' Sega Master
I remember
System. Loose. $321.
Wow.
well, you got to remember that a lot of those games that were on the Genesis and then released for the Master System as well
I was gonna.
were rare. Getting those were rare because it was like how many stores were putting in orders to get those.
Not very many, but there's Sonic the Hedgehog is another one. And I was told the Sonic the Hedgehog is only rare because some games, the rare one is if it has an extra sticker on there. And I don't know if that sticker is a UPC sticker or something. It's freaking nuts. Stop counting Batman films. Are we talking about Batman now?
Wait. Somebody's.
It's the fallen Marvel. How you
Oh, there he
doing
is.
there?
What do you mean stop counting the Batman films? Let me see. There's the 60s one, which was a
Which is
made
still amazing.
that movie was awesome.
The movie
But
was so good.
What
then
would
there
you be
was
remaking the Rocketeer?
there was all right. Let's see. Let's count them out. There was the 60s one. There I think
89.
There was there was 4 in that vein, the Tim Burton and then the Joel Schumacher years. So there's
Yep.
5. But hold on, didn't they have one before the 60s one though, or was that just a TV show?
No, that was just.
I think the TV show from the '40s.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, those are movie serials. So
Okay.
yeah, so that was before.
All right, so that's not a movie. And then of course you got the Nolan ones. So there's 3 of those. I don't know if you count Batman v Superman because that technically is a team up movie.
Yeah,
So that's not really a standalone.
Batman was in it.
Yep.
movie
So, yeah,
serials.
that's
Speaking
it.
of movie serials, I know this is a tangent, but remember, have you guys seen that meme that was floating around? It's not a meme, but it was like a video clip of the old Captain Marvel movie serials. Just
Oh,
how
goodness.
ridiculously violent he
Yeah,
was.
he was a little bit crazy.
He was over the top, dude. He was straight up killing people.
Are we
dude.
talking about Captain Marvel, Shazam, Captain
Yes,
Marvel?
yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did see that.
Dude,
Yeah.
he was straight up killing people,
But
dude.
Captain Marvel Shazam.
He was throwing
horrible.
people off of bridges,
Yep.
off of cliffs,
That dude
off
had-
of buildings.
He had no chill.
like
He
back
had
in the
no
60s.
chill. This shit was awesome.
All right, that's a fair point. Wolverine, Mask of the Phantasm, and also Batman.
That does count.
Batman and Robin Sub-Zero.
Yes.
as well.
Those
so.
do
Oh,
count.
if the DC animated count,
The
then they
DC
got a lot of
animated do
Batman
count.
movies.
Yes. The DC animated
Then you
movies
also
do count.
got Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker, uncut.
Did that
only.
get a theatrical release?
I don't know about theatrical, but it's an
It's
animated
considered a movie.
it's an animated
yeah,
movie.
Okay.
Then yeah, there's a ton of them for. But so here's the thing: you got the Batwoman one. You got the thing is most of the Batman ones are Batman and Superman in the animated realm. He didn't have a lot of standalone, just him by himself movies.
Right.
Who?
Batman in the animated realm outside of like his animated series stuff, and then of course Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
Because like Batman and Superman Public Enemies. That's Batman and Superman.
Yeah.
And then Batman Apocalypse is Batman and Superman Apocalypse because it's a movie with him and Superman.
Sure there's one. I don't remember all of
There was
them.
there's Batman something Batwoman. Now there's also Batman Shinzu.
And there was Batman Gotham Knight, which was
Yeah,
kind
Batman
of-
Gotham Knight
yeah.
was kind of like a
Ninja
bunch of
Batman.
shorts.
Yeah. Well, it was a bunch of
Ninja
shorts
Bat- oh
tied
my
into
God,
the
Ninja Batman
Nolan
was
Batman.
garbage.
Yeah.
Ninja Batman was so garbage.
It
Oh
was
my
so
god!
garbage. I still haven't watched that thing.
I'll let y'all borrow it.
No,
That
I
movie-
don't need to
that
borrow
movie-
it. I've got it. I just refuse to watch it.
I want
now.
to see it just to see what it's about.
Killing Joke was theatrical. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
I like to watch bad movies sometimes. I rewatch
What about,
the stuff.
Head of
Batman
Omega's
Under the Hood?
absolutely right. Huh?
Was that?
Batman Under the Red Hood.
That's what Head of Omega
Head of
actually
Omega was
just
just
brought
saying
up.
that they should have put that.
that
in.
should've-
That should have been that should have definitely been a theatrical
Nah.
release.
And
They would have done better than Nolan movies.
well,
Well,
I
no.
wish they could have done that live action, but there's too much backstory to that. Even though they kind of covered the backstory in the
What?
beginning, because if you
Under Red
remember
Hood?
Red Hood,
No, Under Red Hood would have worked because the thing is, again, it goes back to my thing of put it on the screen.
Yeah.
If people want to learn more, they'll Google it or they'll just
Or
sit
they'll-
there and
hey.
watch the movie and figure it out.
Or
They would've figured it out.
if they're that interested, maybe they'll find a comic book and read more about this character.
Oh no,
Maybe.
people will Google it.
Yeah.
They'll
Well, yeah,
Google
they'll
it
do that.
or
But
they'll
no,
watch a YouTube video.
Under the
on it.
Red Hood in the theaters would have been incredible.
Yeah, because that would have let people know that, like, dude, you can go a different direction with Batman.
Yeah.
He is actually highly skilled and smart versus where are the other rogues going?
Most of Hand of Omega's like most of the current animated movies suck. They try too hard to sell Damian Wayne Robin.
He's right about that.
He's
though.
not wrong.
They have
coming from the
they
guy
have
that loves
fallen off.
Teen Titans.
Well, I
I'm
guess.
talking about Teen Titans Go.
But,
Excuse me.
but that
Oh,
doesn't. But Damian Wayne is he's a different flavor.
John P is 100% right. Ninja Batman is like cheeseburger pizza. The elements are there, but it's a combo that just doesn't work.
Does
Wow.
cheeseburger pizza not have mozzarella on it? Does it have cheddar on it?
I don't.
I think yes.
don't-
It
Does
has
it have
cheddar on it.
mayonnaise on it?
I
I don't
really
like
should
mayonnaise on burgers
hope
anyway. That's
not.
gross.
No. Whoppers.
mayonnaise
Might have
sucks.
ketchup.
No,
You're crazy.
Whoppers are good. Sorry.
I'm not saying that
I
sometimes
get
the
my Whopper
combination
without mayonnaise,
doesn't work.
brother.
You
No,
should try it with mayo. 'cause
No,
that's
I'm
what
not
makes
trying it
That's
with
what makes
mayo.
it taste like.
Amazing.
no, sir.
It
No,
is.
no, absolutely
DBL
not.
King, I agree with you. I
What?
think that the Batman should be also be done as a detective because they have
Well,
yet
that's supposedly
to do
what
that.
Well, guess
Matthew
what?
Vaughn is trying to do.
Man, whatever. He
Well,
got
we'll
he got a year to get it right.
Yeah, and he's got to do it with Robert Pattinson.
Should they
too.
redo Mantis? Yes, they
Hell
should
yeah,
redo
they should
Mantis.
redo Mantis.
Hell,
I want to see a Mantis
yes.
comic book.
Comic book, movie, TV show. Who cares? Want to see one?
Video game.
Who would play? Yeah, who would play Mantis now?
Nah, see,
What happened to the actor that played
Carl
Mantis?
Lumbly?
Yeah, what happened
Dude's
to
been
that?
everywhere. What are you
Really?
talking about?
I don't know.
He voiced John Jones in Justice League.
Yeah, he does a
Yes,
lot of
yeah.
more stuff for real.
Yeah.
And he also was
Hey.
playing John Jones's father in Supergirl.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I didn't watch Supergirl.
Hey, bro, I was just thinking they should redo Highlander.
Why?
No.
Why? No,
No.
I'm talking
no,
about.
they've ruined
what-
that. No,
what-
they've ruined
excuse me.
that.
Why? Why not?
Sam
Explain
Raimi
yourself.
created Mantis? What?
What?
Yeah, it
Okay,
says
hold
Sam Raimi and Sam Ham.
No,
Who the hell is Sam Ham?
Don't know. Finish your thought
Sam
there,
Ham.
Super Nerd. Go ahead.
But I'm just saying. What I was watching Highlander, like, damn, that was very deep
On
lore
purpose?
in that
Wait,
damn movie.
which
Which one?
The first one.
Okay, well, you're okay then. Keep watching
I'm-
after that.
I ain't met. Listen, I don't remember the second one. I barely remember the first one as a kid.
There's only
I remember
two-
watching the series because the series came out later
I
on
was
down
just
the
getting
line.
ready to say there's only two things Highlander related that are actually any good: the first Highlander movie and Highlander the series.
Yeah,
That's
that
pretty
was
much
good.
it.
Even though I did watch the cartoon for whatever reason, I don't know why.
I
I
watched the
wanted to
cartoon,
watch
too.
the cartoon.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, we talking the
Cartoon
cartoon or
was
the
dark.
animated?
Highlander cartoon.
The Highlander cartoon.
Back
That
when
was good too.
Yeah.
Was,
I
it
forget-
Well,
was,
what I'm
it
saying
was
is-
Connor McLeod,
Connor
right? Yeah, it was
McLeod.
Connor McLeod. You know, in the future.
Connor McLeod of the
But what I'm
Cloud
saying is,
McCloud.
they can if they ever do Highlander again, like I think it could be real. I don't know, it just be way different than what it was from the '80s.
Here's the thing about Highlander. The premise of Highlander is very cool.
Yeah.
I like the whole idea of it. And I even liked how in the movie they were showing how like he was getting by taking identities to basically, move suspicion off of why the hell have you been around for this long? I like that aspect of it because it shows that they were, they cared about telling the story and making
was
it,
rich.
make some type of sense.
Mm-hmm.
No, but but the thing is, I like that since he was an immortal, it was like you can't just like, okay, I can't be GQ and be the same guy 50 years into the
There's gonna be too
future.
many questions.
It's like how the hell are you still looking like you look and how are you
Exactly.
still around?
Right.
So I like that he was taking identities of like, John Does or people that had died, recently or whatever, and just kind of assuming their identities. I thought that was cool, man.
Here's something that I never dove into the lore, so I never really knew about this. But because they were immortal, could they sire children with humans? Or,
I think
or
he
they
said
were
he
forbidden?
couldn't have
I don't think they
kids.
could
No
have
kids.
They were
They
forbidden.
can
Yeah.
have kids.
No,
Or
it
they
wasn't not
just don't
forbidden.
think
You
they
just
could
they
do
just
it.
couldn't.
They just couldn't. Okay.
The only thing the other thing I thought that was cool about that, you had to die to know that you were immortal.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
See, that's the part of it that's like,
How does that work? How do
like
you
would
die?
like
You
again,
remember he was fighting on
he
the
was fighting on
Highlands
the
of
in the
Scotland?
battlefield. Yeah. He was
The
fighting on
Kurgan,
and
He
uh,
got
killed
taken
him.
out.
and the Kurgan killed him. But he came back. And like he literally dug himself out of like dead bodies and whatnot. It was like, how am I
watched
still
that
alive?
movie forever. I need to
And
watch
Sean
that.
Connery found him and was like, "You're a Highlander."
I do.
Which they
I do need
they
to
say
watch
he's
that again.
Egyptian,
Yeah.
though, so he's probably the same age as Apocalypse.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. That's what I liked about that whole stuff like that is like that's why our movies of the 80s were just gold. Because the stuff they were coming up with was just so original, so just out of the blue that it just worked. And then for them to
Okay.
for them to just mess it up like they did in the third one
Dude,
and
it
the
was just-
fourth
it was
one.
Wait, the
unbelievable,
third
man.
one, Fallen Marvel says he didn't hate the third one, Mario Van Peebles. I don't really remember the third one, but I think
The third one,
second one was really messed
I think
up.
the third one was like time travel and some other weirdness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
I remember
Mario Van
seeing it as
Peebles
a
was like a
kid.
wizard or something.
But it was the fourth one that China
Oh,
pretty
the fourth
much just
one
killed it.
Now here's the worst part. The fourth one could have been great.
If they had stuck to the trailer.
Yeah, if they would have did everything they did in that trailer in the movie, because again, you had Donnie Yen in that movie.
Yep.
You had Edge,
Edge.
from WWF at
Yep.
the time. You had
I ain't seen that
freaking
one.
Brian. What's his name? Is it Bruce Payne? Bruce Payne was like the main villain. The guy he was also the villain in Passenger 57. But
Oh, him. Okay.
but I liked his character was cool because he was like a priest that, for the longest time was kind of on their side, or whatever. Then he gets killed, finds out he's an immortal. And he was like, all right, I'm kind of done. I'm kind of done with this. And he was going around just breaking all the rules, killing people on holy ground and all their rules. He was
Yeah.
like, I don't care. I want all this power. And he was just taking people out. I'm like, dude, this is awesome.
I guess that's it about, there can be only one. That whole premise of it just kind of was confusing a little bit.
It would have been so confusing if the first movie didn't do it that way because they were acting like the
Like he could be he was the last immortal.
that's
like he
what,
was
that's
it.
what they made it seem like the Corrigan.
the Kurgan.
Yeah.
Kerrigan. No, that's my niece.
The Kurgan. I
You
think.
know,
and
Kurgan,
and him were supposedly the last two. And had they done it that way, that should have been like they really screwed it up. And then they tried to make it the way they're aliens. Like, come on.
Yeah, no. But the thing is, they said that they're drawn to fight each other.
Yeah.
Like that was one of the things. It was like, and I think part of it was like, of course the quickening, you get, all the memories and the power of whoever you kill, the other immortals that you kill. that part of it was really a good thing and an interesting thing. But it was just unusual for Sean Connery's character to train somebody else. It was normally
Didn't he want to
it
kill
was
him?
it was normally it was like, nah, dude, I'm going around collecting souls and power and knowledge. I don't know about you. You better hope you got good swordplay.
Right.
What if he was training them so he can get knowledge and get more powerful?
He
And
could
he
have
killed
been.
him.
Then he could have killed him, but the Corrigan got to him first.
Yeah, that who knows? Maybe that's one of the little side story that they could have told. But I mean, the movie itself was awesome. It's just I would love. And here's the thing: Super Nerd saying he would like to see it remade. Who could do it, and who could be the various characters?
I say for the Corrigan, I think that should be Jason Momoa.
Okay.
Yeah,
That'd
but
be-
I don't
I
know
can
who.
see that.
But the playing
Connor.
You know, honestly,
is it Connor McLeod?
yes, it was Connor. Yeah, it was Connor.
Yeah, it was Quinn. Quinn was in the cartoon.
Yeah, was it Quinn?
I think it was Quinn
Quinn.
McLeod in the cartoon.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Anyway, but Connor McLeod, who could play him?
it should be okay. I'm gonna throw a shot in the dark, and this will be wild. And I'm sure a lot
Don't
of
you
people
dare
will
say
say
Tom Holland.
Hell no, I'm not gonna say no Tom Holland. Make it you yourself.
No,
He's too old.
He's too old for this.
Who cares?
Too old.
too
Too
old.
old.
Too
Hey,
old. Who cares?
fun fact. Did you know my man's who played Connor in the original movie? What's his name? Forgot his
Christopher
damn name.
Lambert.
Christopher Lambert.
Christopher Lambert. They said he literally practiced English right before that fucking movie.
Yeah.
Practice.
I was like, damn, that's
You gotta
crazy.
remember, he
He couldn't speak.
Yeah, he has a.
I think
thick
I
accent.
think you guys are wrong because I think Christopher Lambert is American,
No,
and I think
he's
it's
not.
Christopher Lambert.
no, my friend. No.
Not
Well,
American.
you can double check, but he's from somewhere else if I remember right. Well, she's just from like Jersey or something.
I'm gonna look it up right now. Hold on.
Yeah.
He was born in Great Neck, New York.
What?
Great Neck, New York.
Great Neck, New York.
Where the fuck he
Maybe
get
he
this
was
big-ass
raised in.
accent
Maybe he
from?
was.
I think he was
in
raised
Fran-
somewhere else for real,
France.
because he's
His parents were French.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I think
that
he-
must have
they
been
were
it.
a French
that
diplomat.
That must have been it. Oh, they were French diplomat.
So
Okay,
Yeah, he
that
was
makes-
raised
that
in
makes
Geneva
sense.
from
Okay.
his infancy. So
he's
okay.
got the citizenship.
Yeah.
But he, as far as birth and everything else, and
Dude, this sounds like a very interesting
So he
topic.
he
we should
was
actually
raised in
broach.
Paris.
We
Well,
should
no,
actually
no, no,
stick
no.
a
We-
pin in this one.
No. That whole thing, and it's just in the sense of that. No, the actor following thing is going to become a topic in the series.
Yeah,
Y'all be ready for that. But no, it is interesting to follow like his path because I mean, dude played Raiden.
Yeah, he
No,
was.
we should really. I'm interested in doing the whole.
Also
thing.
found out who
Wait.
Sam Hamm
Okay,
is.
hold on.
Sam Hamm is a writer. He co-wrote the '89 Batman with Tim Burton, and he also came up with the story for the Batman Returns.
All right, so
That's
hold
who
on.
Sam Hamm is.
So Han says Duncan was way more interesting than Connor. I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
know
sure.
I don't know about that. I think it's because you got to see more of Duncan because he had a TV show.
Right.
I don't think that makes him more interesting.
And every time, like, as long as the TV show was on, and my brother, was addicted to watching that show. He loved watching.
well,
that
because
show.
the lore
The lore was
the lore of
incredible.
Highlander is
They
cool.
did it a
But
little bit
all the
better on
while,
the TV
I
show.
kept waiting.
But again,
for,
you have more time.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the while the entire show was on, I kept waiting for Duncan to show up. Like literally, I was like, okay.
Well, and again, it's
mean,
also
where's-
because
where's-
again he's using a katana
Where's
versus
Connor?
like a claymore
Yeah.
or a
I think it was
Zweihander
kind
or
of cool that
whatever.
they actually got together in the later movies.
Yeah.
No,
like they
that.
should have.
But
That
here's the
part
thing:
was cool.
that part was cool, but they messed it up because
They
it
did.
made it seem like it was going to be Connor and Duncan versus this mega super powerful immortal that's been killing people for 600 years,
And they lied
know,
to us.
right? Taking heads and whatnot, and then could split himself into two and fight both of them. I'm like that trailer was, and again, I'm gonna bring it up every time we talk about it. That trailer was so misleading. Like, if you could take them to court over the trailer, I would, because that was, man, I was in that theater sitting there just waiting. I was like, dang,
Did you walk out?
nah.
Were you coming close?
No.
No.
Here's the thing.
You took the
I
whole
don't-
thing in.
I've never walked out on a movie because to me that's a waste of money.
Yeah.
But you
paid
did feel
for it.
regret, right?
I think
Yeah, I don't feel regret of anything I do because you
You
do
didn't
it.
feel regret for paying for that?
No, it was a movie. It's
I
like,
don't think I did either. It was just
Yeah.
like I sat there and watched the movie, and that was basically it. I told you the only movie I've
So
ever
you find
felt
so you
regret.
find it strange for people that get up and walk out of the movie
I
theater because
do.
they're so angry. Okay.
Because
All right.
sometimes you don't know if something's going to turn around or whatever.
Right.
You just don't know. You got to complete a story to friggin' really.
imagine walking out on Rogue One and you don't see the Vader scene.
Bro,
You know, how, like
Bro.
just like ridiculous that
like,
would be.
come on.
So
Yeah.
for me, it's like, look, there has never been a movie that I've gone to the theater regardless, because it's like even if it's bad, it's like so what? I'm here in the theater with my friends more than likely, and we gonna Mystery Science 3000 this thing. We gonna start talking junk about it. But to walk out, it's like okay, especially as much as movies cost now.
Right.
Like okay, like if
Just
it was
fall
$1.
asleep like we did in Ghost,
Hand of Omega
Well,
was
yeah.
like, and we'll wrap it up. We'll move on this note. Hand of Omega was like, I almost walked out of Batman and Robin, but my day stopped me. And then John P was like, saw people walk out of Wild Wild West. Now that one deserved it, even though it had Salma Hayek in it. But damn,
You of all people should have realized that Batman and Robin was just a take on the '60s Batman.
It was.
and you know it, and you should be able to enjoy it. 'Cause I know you enjoy the '60s Batman.
Tony Young brings up
You
a
got
good
your-
one. Carl Urban as the new Ramirez.
I can see that.
Carl Urban is just a good actor anyway.
Yeah.
He is,
he,
in general.
when he
Hell
gets
yeah.
into a role, he's always interesting.
Yeah, he is. Can't wait for the boys.
Even
season
in,
two.
even in
Yeah, I like
Dune.
Carl, especially when he was in The Boys.
Yeah, I just said that. Anyway, let's go ahead and move
I
on
didn't
to
hear
the
you. Shut
main,
up.
move on to the main event.
The main event.
All right, people. Today's main event is kind of throwing it back a little bit to the topic that we talked about earlier, which the Peacock Network showed a couple of trailers for Punky Brewster and Saved by the Bell. Those two shows are getting reboots, but I kind of wanted to ask everybody on the panel, which shows from the 80s or 90s are more deserving of a reboot that haven't gotten any love yet?
Talking about just TV shows, right?
Yeah, just TV shows. Yeah.
Cartoons or not?
Now let's stick with live action.
Automan.
Never heard of Automan. What's that?
You don't remember Automan?
Nope, tell me about it. I
all
don't
right.
like watch- I don't
you-
watch
you-
live action
maybe-
stuff as a
Maybe
kid.
you're too young to remember this.
It's not too young. I didn't care about what you got. I'm only 2 years younger than you, dude. So 2 years. And I can remember far back
Automan
then, 3 years
lasted
old.
one season.
3 years old.
He and I were like 5 and 6 years old when that thing
didn't
came out.
like live action television.
That would have made you 3 years old.
If you
And
were
it was
five,
off the
most
TV
definitely.
by the
I can
time
remember
you
I was
would have
3
been
years old.
conscious.
I remember exactly where I was at. I remember the street I was in.
But you weren't consciously watching live action TV.
I didn't care for it. I remember my first time watching Wizard of Oz is when I was 3 years old. I was 3 years old watching Wizard of Oz, and I always thought that movie was completely in black and white because we had a black and white television at the time, and I did not know till a lot later because
That
I
it
didn't
had
watch
color,
it again that it
yeah.
was in color. That it was in color. I remember quite a bit. I just didn't care for that stuff, dude. I was playing with my toys, and I wanted to watch cartoons. I was a cartoon fiend. I loved cartoons. That's probably why I still like anime to this day. Yeah, exactly. And I do watch live action stuff now because I enjoy stuff like this stuff now. But back in the 80s, besides Punky Brewster, who, like I said, was my first crush, I don't really care for live action stuff.
Are you done?
So, no, I don't know who Automan
Are
is.
you done? You done now? Okay. So anyway, I was saying ago, Automan. I heard that Automan.
Oh, no, I have seen this. The Hand of Omega has shown me clips of this, too. So, no, I do remember seeing this.
Desi Arnaz Jr. as the
As an adult.
as the yeah. Anyway, Automan. For those of you that may not remember, Automan was a computer program brought to life to help. I think it was by an accident. I think he was. Yeah, he was.
Everything was an accident.
Yeah, everything was an accident. Accidental experiment came to life, and with the help of his computerized cursor friend that could pretty much make everything.
Yep, drew up everything.
Yeah, like he could make everything. Was fighting crime. Like that, the '80s was full of shows like that. Was all about fighting crime. So speaking of which, fighting crime and doing things like that, you had one that I would love to have a comeback. Which one did you mention?
Well, I'm not even gonna say the one. I mean, 18, I guess, but nah.
18.
No, not
Not even 18.
We kind of had the 18.
I like the movie.
The
The
movie
movie
was good.
great.
Yeah,
I
the
don't
movie
care what
was
nobody
great.
say. But nah, I'm gonna actually change mine up because now I thought about Automan. Now I would like to see a remake. Well, actually, somebody had said it in the chat. They were saying that old Ghostbusters TV show. The old
Are you
one.
talking about that? Let's
You're-
go,
yeah.
Ghostbusters.
No, I don't.
Let's
I'm not
go.
saying I necessarily want to see a
the
remake of-
original Ghostbusters.
Not the cartoon.
No, it's the Ghostbusters.
Oh,
Where Ghostbusters really
okay. Wasn't it
truly
like
came
a
from. It had
black and white?
Yeah, it was black and white. It had the
show,
ape and all that other stuff. somebody wanted a remake of that out of the chat. I'm sorry I missed the name on it, but somebody can go back and grab that real quick, the name. But no, I don't necessarily want to see that, but I wouldn't mind getting a remake. Oh yeah, John P. said it. Yeah,
John P. said it, yeah.
Apologize for that.
DLB King, you want to see Three's Company? I don't think Three's Company would be controversial because
That's like that one show though.
If you remember anything about Three's Company, which another show that I remember as a kid, because I was for whatever reason, all those live action shows, the theme songs have been in my head, but I didn't really watch them. But I knew of Three's Company because I remember it used to come on near or around Sanford and Son on Channel 50, regardless of the fact.
So it was on syndication, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm watching syndication. I'm watching
Automan wasn't in syndication. I'm just saying,
you weren't watching no Automan at 5 years old.
I was watching Automan. How do you think I remember
You watched that shit in reruns.
No, I did not.
No, I didn't. I know I didn't because my brothers and I used to watch that together.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I want to see.
Going back to you were 9 years old at that time, though, so it'd have been different for
exactly.
what have you.
But no, real quick, just
Not
to get mine out, the one that I actually do want to see a remake of is Misfits of Science.
Yes.
If they did, if they
redid
Misfits of Science, that would be.
Oh, Hannibal Omega says that.
Yeah,
Misfits of Science would be a good
Don't know
one.
that show either.
I think a show that was mainly on Canadian television, but I really loved when I was younger because it came on syndication too. It was where Jerry O'Connell got his big start. My Secret Identity.
That was Canadian. That was on Channel 20.
It was Canadian, but it was Canadian
Canadian
made.
show though.
It was a Canadian show.
That. I just know it was on Channel 20. I remember watching it.
My Secret Identity was a show that I absolutely love. I remember it being on Channel 20 for like 2 or 3 years, and then because they shifted the time schedules, I could never catch it. I could never catch the rest of it.
Hannibal Omega says he dares somebody to remake MASH.
12 episodes.
Hell no.
You know what? Come on now.
They could do MASH.
There's some shows that you just can't do.
MASH is trash.
MASH was trash.
My sweets loved MASH.
Unbelievably, the MASH finale is still the most watched TV program of all time.
Of course, because the entire world was watching that show at the time.
It was more than Seinfeld. So I think Seinfeld beat that one.
No,
I could have sworn it did.
MASH is still number one.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
You have to think of it.
Monday took it. I dare someone to remake Airwolf. Yeah, I would.
Airwolf
was definitely be one.
No, here's the reason why I believe MASH probably was of all time, because you have to remember, what else would you have been watching at the time? And the entire world
You had
was
3
watching.
channels.
Yeah, the entire world was into that show.
Yeah.
I never.
Yo,
watched
so I got
Seinfeld.
2 shows I want to see remade.
What's that?
I want to see Alien Nation. I want to see Quantum
California
Leap.
Rings?
Alien
I
Nation
used to
and
love
Quantum
watching
Leap. All
Alien
right.
Nation and Quantum Leap.
Quantum Leap was a great show.
Quantum Leap could actually work pretty well.
Yeah, it could.
Now.
Actually,
I heard they're bringing back Sliders.
Sliders was almost. I don't want to say it was a
Sliders was
riff on that,
shit.
but
completely
Sliders
different.
I thought as a concept was incredible.
I loved it. Just going because I think about that all the time. The alternate, infinite universes and seeing how they are. That's something that made me get interested in alternate. Because I think about that stuff all the time. But what bothers me is that every place they went to was significantly different. And if there's a such thing as infinite universes, you would go to another universe and you wouldn't be able to tell that is different because you know why? A leaf in China or a tree in China has one less leaf than it does here. And that would be the difference between the two. And you would never know that.
I think that's part of the reason I like that movie, The One, so much.
That was also cool too. I like that too. I haven't seen that in a while either.
I had Jet Li dressing up in all
That
the
reminds
different
me.
outfits.
I need to get that one.
You know what's terrible about Sliders though? That when it went to like season 4 and 5, it was on the Sci-Fi network and it ended up being shit.
Yeah, it sucked when it was on Sci-Fi.
Yeah, it did. It was like what they swapped Jerry O'Connell for his younger brother.
No, it was. Yeah. I thought it was his sister.
No, it was his brother.
Didn't they meet a female version of him? I could have sworn they met a female.
They did
version
one episode. They did, and that was just an episode, I believe. But his brother was actually in the show. But then when I think something happened to him, he went to another dimension. His brother ended up taking over or whatever. But then I guess his brother came back. Jerry O'Connor's character came back, but it was another actor. And the reason why I think was because it was like differences with Fox or whatever, and money, and he ended up leaving or something like that. I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But
no, but Sliders as a concept, I think, was fantastic, especially since similar to the way Lost in Space was way back in the day. It was the show that they could never get back home. Like it was impossible. They could never get back.
But he did on one episode and didn't know it.
Right.
It was so jacked up. He
That
literally
was
was at
jacked up.
home.
Right.
And something was different, and he thought it was a different one, and it wasn't. It was actually. I was like, oh.
That was messed up.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, my guy Rembrandt was my guy.
Yeah.
Crying.
Tears in my fro.
Tears.
Yeah, that song. I got tears in my fro.
So, shoot, Quantum Leap actually, I had heard that there was some talk about them restarting it. Now I know, not Scott Bakula is still alive, obviously, but his partner Dean, I forget his name, I forget his last name.
Dean Stockton.
Dean Stockton. He unfortunately is no longer with us, so he would have to continue without him. But Quantum Leap was just, another one of them great shows.
Scott
from
Bakula
back
play
in the
his
day.
part and get another actor to be.
They could do that.
Yeah, most
They
definitely
could do that. But I had heard some talk about them picking up Quantum Leap and just continuing it, like, after so many years later. Like another, like the X-Files, when it picked up and continued, even though I have a feeling that we'll never see, another season of X-Files again. And the story is like open-ended.
Well, they did. Remember a couple years ago they
No.
brought
I
back.
mean, after that, after
Oh.
what we got, I don't think we're gonna get
Gotcha.
anymore. Which is too bad because I think X-Files was really building towards the end, and I just think the interest is no longer there. Now, as far as like new shows, I would love to come back that were classic besides My Secret Identity. Some people have said maybe Small Wonder might work.
That's what I was gonna get at. Tony Young has put in quite a few of them. Small Wonder being one of them. He agrees with you, Alienation, but he's saying like Alex Mack, The Secret Life of Alex Mack, Pete and
That'd be
Pete,
dope.
Fraggle Rock.
No,
Not quite
all
you.
jokes aside, Alex Mack, like, as a reboot would be dope for this generation, actually. That'd be cool as hell.
I didn't watch Alex Mack. I don't know nothing about it.
I didn't watch Alice Mack. I think that was after I had outgrown Nickelodeon, so that was like past my time.
Never!
You still watch Nickelodeon
Of
now?
course he does. Of course he
Sometimes.
would.
What's
You
hot? What's hot
watch
on
Henry
Nickelodeon
Danger,
now?
my friend? Because you know that
One
that
time I
just
was
went
bored and I watched it. I was bored one day.
So,
I ain't gonna front. I did like Lab Rats on Disney.
Okay. All right. I see where he is. He's perpetually a kid, man. He's always
Nothing
gonna
wrong
watch
with
them
that,
shows.
man.
There ain't nothing wrong with it. But yeah, Alex Mack was one of them shows that a lot of people like. I mean, and I guess that's why, like, when Disney Plus was saying they're trying to do that Lizzie McGuire reboot or continuation, like much like Punky Brewster, they're trying to do it because people generationally have such a connection to these shows, and it's easy money, basically to bring these things back and just cash in,
Yeah. Well.
Only
that's
thing I'm mad
usually
about
happens.
Disney
Cash
Plus, they ain't
grab.
premiering that show called Flash Forward that was on Disney. One of the first Disney live action shows when Disney had their network.
Flash forward.
It was called Flash Forward with Ben. What's his name? Shoot. He played in Hostel with Bruce Willis. Ben Foster.
Yeah, nobody else watched that.
DBLK says, I think a Modern Wonder Years on a Sunday night on ABC would kill.
I hated when they.
But what would it take place? Because didn't Wonder Years take place in the 60s
In the
or the
60s,
70s?
It did.
So what is this one going to be in the 80s? Because that was the whole thing about it. It was
30
a
years
person
ago.
it was something in his when he was a childhood narrating all this stuff. So
It should
would it
be
be
in the
somebody in
90s
2000?
because-
Yeah, somebody in the 2020s talking about how it was in the 90s.
I don't know, but
Well, yeah, because that show, The Goldbergs, was set like in the 80s. So
why don't they just
kinda
reboot Young
did
Indiana
that.
Jones?
Just make young Indiana Jones movies. I'd rather see Indiana Jones as a movie than a TV show. I mean, nowadays a TV show would probably be great.
The show was interesting though.
The show was interesting.
I didn't watch much of it.
Young Indiana Jones was who played Young Indiana Jones? I forget. Wasn't it? It wasn't.
Well, River Phoenix played him in the
In
movie.
the movie, right? But
in the
who was he
show,
on
I
the
forgot
TV
who it
show? I
was in the
forget
show.
who it was.
Because he ran into old Indiana
Yeah,
Jones
we had
in
a
the show.
patch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
remember
on
Young
Jones.
Hercules with Ryan
With
Gosling?
Ryan Gosling, yes. Very faintly, I
Yeah.
remember Young Hercules. Yeah.
So
There's a show that could do it. Not necessarily Hercules, but maybe Xena.
Bring back
You know,
Xena. That'd be dope.
Because honestly, Xena had completely outpaced Hercules as
Sean
far
Patrick Flannery.
as popularity by the end of it. Sean Patrick Flannery was Young Indiana Jones.
Young Jones.
Yeah, but Xena had completely eclipsed Hercules as a.
Yeah, but
as
Wonder
the
Woman
popularity.
exists now, so you don't need it.
This is also true.
Excuse me. Oh, he was the dude in Boondock Saints.
Eddie Johnson's like for cartoons, James Bond Jr.
Oh gosh, no! God, I hated James Bond Jr. That was one of the cartoons.
But why?
I hated it
'Cause it
because
was
he
dumb.
always won, and he always won as a stupid way. He had no
He had no charisma.
conflict,
Yeah.
no charisma. He's named after his uncle.
Right.
What?
That is fucking. Yeah, that was fucking stupid. That didn't make
Why
any
is
sense.
How does James Bond has even any siblings? He's supposed to be a spy. Nobody's supposed to know about his family.
Right.
And why are you a excuse me, a spy? Why are you a spy? And your uncle's a spy? No, I'm just sorry.
Yeah, well, he
no,
learned
I
the
hear
game
you.
from his uncle James.
Yeah.
That was his garbage because it was like James Bond was an orphan basically because his parents
Right.
died, and then whatchamacallit, he had no brother or any of that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you go off of the Spectre thing from the movie where they tried to make Blofeld his brother, which, you know.
I'll shoot anybody that says they want a Nightman remake.
Oh, which one?
Hey,
a
Nightman.
Nightman
Nightman.
remake.
Is he Fighter of the Day man?
Huh?
Master of the day, man. Oh,
They can reboot the original Batman TV show
They could do that.
and make it serious.
Yeah.
They could do Batman TV. They will never.
They will never
never.
will. They'll
I
never
don't know
will.
why. They
Outside
don't
of Gotham.
Warner Brothers has this stupid policy. I just don't get it, man. I don't understand. Why would you ever cut yourself off for money like that? I just
They
don't
would be
get
making
it.
money.
They do the stupidest things.
It's somebody who is an executive there that just doesn't. Know
Oh
what
no,
the heck is
Batman
going
can
on.
only be in motion pictures. Fuck he can. What? That makes no sense whatsoever. Like none. I don't get it.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't get
And
it.
again, James Bond Jr. did follow your essentially follow your theory about the 00 name James Bond being passed.
Oh, being
down.
passed around.
Well, it could be done that way. It still just
Okay.
don't make any sense, man. He was like a freaking high school kid or some shit.
I know it was goofy.
Yeah, it was.
I know
it
we're
was
not
super
supposed to do
goofy.
cartoons, but I want to remake of the Karate Kid cartoon.
Hey, they remade
Wait a
it, or
minute.
they had
It
a
was
continuation.
Daniel, Mr. Miyagi, and some random girl just traveling the countryside. And what were they traveling the countryside
Trying to
for?
get that lantern.
Bro, it
was
was
that-
so
that
many
sacred
cartoons
lantern.
like that back then.
Oh, yeah.
Like Mr. T.
Hey, Jackie Chan's
The Mr.
Jackie Chan Adventures was
That
awesome
was the
though.
shit. Yes, Jackie Chan's Adventures was the
One
shit.
more thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, Uncle was the dude.
Uncle was
man.
the dude.
Renegade.
The talisman.
One more
It was like,
Oh,
that
wow.
was like it was like literally that was the only thing Toru could say for like the first season. He was
Uh-huh.
like the talisman.
Yep.
That was it.
Hold
It's-
on. Hand of Omega said he want to see Taxi be remade
Taxi.
with the cast from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh my God!
Wow.
It wouldn't even be Taxi then. It would
Really?
It
be
would be with Danny DeVito. It would.
That might have been. Sorry. Dukes of Hazzard wouldn't work now.
What the fuck
Absolutely.
you
I
doing,
don't think
Doogie
it
Howser?
would.
I heard they are remaking Doogie Howser.
But if they're doing Doogie Howser, they already got the Good Doctor.
No, from
And
my
they've got
understanding,
other
though,
medical-
but it's,
medical
she's supposed to be
procedurals.
a Doogie Howser. Courtney, I don't know how it's going to be Doogie Howser, but they said it was not going to be a white kid anymore. It's supposed to be an Asian girl.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what I remember reading. So maybe it's not.
But why would it be called Doogie Howser?
Yeah, right. You gonna call a girl? What girl's gonna be called Doogie?
I don't know. Maybe you know how the trend of giving girls last names, first names, because you got like Kennedy and
Doogie?
hold on, I wasn't done yet. You got Kennedy, right, and then you got Mackenzie. And guess that her name would be McDougal.
What?
You trying way too hard, my friend. You trying way too hard to make that one work.
McDougal, aka Doogie.
DBL, Tony Young's like Sequest DSV.
Oh wow.
Hey, the CGI would be better.
It would be.
Yeah, the CGI would be so much better now if
You
they
know,
did
going
it.
back to Quantum Leap, the only episode of Quantum Leap I really, honestly, continuously remember is the pool episode when they was playing pool. That's the only episode I really, really, really always lock into and remember out of Quantum Leap. Like,
Yo,
the
I
show
can
is
see
so
a
good.
Highway to Heaven being remade and have
Oh,
like 20
goodness.
seasons and shit.
Seriously, may as well remake Seventh Heaven while you're
Might
at
as well,
it. Then.
might as well remake
Seventh
Little House on
Heaven,
the
I know,
Prairie
right?
too. Like, how would you do a Little House on the Prairie nowadays? Like, really?
You
Fuck
wouldn't.
Little House on the Prairie.
How
Fuck
would you
that.
do Little House on the
Fuck that
Prairie
show.
nowadays?
Why
I'm
would I watch a show about
you
the
got,
olden times?
You got
with
all
fucking
these
Cody?
shows, but you got all these shows, right? You got Vikings, you got The Handmaid's
Vikings
Tale,
are cool.
all this other kind of stuff. You know, and
I
you
don't
say
wanna
the
watch a
Little
show
House on the
about churning
Prairie
butter.
couldn't be made. I mean, dog, you got stop. So you got stop. So you
It's a show
got
about
churning
churning
butter.
butter
So you got-
and fucking farming. I don't want to watch a show about that. That's boring.
He's right. He's absolutely right.
I don't do that show. Sucks. I hate that.
What was it? Laura Ingalls?
Laura Ingalls, yes.
And Michael Landon.
And Michael Landon, yes.
Michael
But
Michael
man,
Landon,
wait. So you got shows on BBC like Coronation Street and what's that one
Look,
super
look,
popular
you got
one? I
Downton
forget.
Abbey.
Downton Abbey.
Downton Abbey is your
Yeah.
your Little House on the Prairie now.
Yeah,
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 but there's no
that's what I'm
bars on
saying.
BBC though.
You said what?
I'm sure they probably do stuff that American TV wouldn't even do.
True.
No, this is true. No, this is
Like
very
fucking-
true.
Hold on. What even would be Little House on the Prairie now?
I have no idea, man. That's just what I'm
I don't
saying. So
wanna
how would you
see
make
it.
Little House on the Prairie now?
I mean, first of all, you don't. But secondly, like,
Oh, you know what?
Even be the premise.
Here's
That's
one.
like saying let's bring back What's Happening.
Oh gosh.
Here's one. Here's two actually that I'll give to y'all. Right? I'll give you two. No, because you could never do "Give Me a Break" without Nell Carter. You can never do any. Give Me
Yeah.
a Break
I
without
forgot
Nell
what
Carter.
that Give Me a
You
Break
could-
was
you
even
could-
about. What that
Yeah,
show's about?
She was a housekeeper.
She was a housekeeper.
What's that woman's name that transitioned the movie? She was Ma.
What?
The movie Ma.
Oh my god.
Oh,
you
Octavia
talking about
Spencer?
that
Yeah,
actress?
she could be.
One in the bedroom.
Yeah, but
Oscar-winning actress, man. She ain't gonna do no
That's
TV.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, she ain't
She's
gonna
not
do
Yeah,
moving.
no,
She's
no,
not
you
moving
know.
like that.
Yeah.
All right, so the two I was gonna say actually, right? So Hannah Omega's got a good one. Remington Steele, I would love to see.
Yeah.
Amazing Stories is gonna be on Apple TV, and that's they already played the trailers for that, so I think it's already out. But Remington Steele would be amazing. But Briscoe County Jr., The Adventures of Briscoe County Jr., I would love.
There'd be something
remember that
missing.
show.
There'd be something missing
Dude,
without
it's
Bruce
on
Campbell.
without Bruce Campbell and also without Julius Carey.
Well,
Yeah,
Julius
sure
Carey
enough.
passed away, if
Yeah.
I remember correctly.
Yeah, he
did.
But Bruce
he did.
Campbell, if you don't have Bruce Campbell, a lot of that charm came from Bruce
It did,
Campbell.
but
though.
damn, the show was so good, man.
Because he's a good actor.
Dude,
man. He's
like
good.
that was my first exposure to Bruce Campbell anything, and I loved him ever since. I thought he was great ever since.
Tony Young says leave Married with Children alone. And I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
You can't mess with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't do that now.
Um,
All the shit he said back in the day.
but no, damn, I was gonna say there was another one. Was it not Matlock? Not Perry?
Matlock.
Perry
Magnum
can you,
PI.
can you believe? No, because they already
They
did.
already
You know,
did
they
Magnum.
just
I know,
did
but it was
that.
terrible.
And
Need to redo it
Perry
again.
Mason is coming to HBO.
Oh, no,
I
see,
can't
now-
believe
See
that.
now, Perry Mason, you really got to leave that alone.
Right? Like I
It's
can't
not
believe
Taddy
that.
Mason.
You can't like Perry Mason is like the actor that played
Taddy
him
Mason.
was too good.
Yeah, Raymond
What
Burr.
was it? What was
dude.
his- yeah, Raymond Burr. Yeah, Raymond Burr, like,
you
he-
can't outdo Raymond Burr.
That's like trying to redo Matlock. Like the dude that played Matlock is like known
Andy
for that
Griffith,
role.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like you can't mess with that. Like,
Yeah.
there's certain ones that you just gotta just leave them alone. You may as well just go redo the Rifleman or something.
Oh, there's one.
Andy Griffith.
Even though
Can't
it
be Andy
was a
Griffith without
movie,
Andy Griffith.
even though it was a movie, they could redo The Equalizer as a TV show.
I vaguely remember that.
Here's
shit.
the thing, though. Are you gonna get a Denzel stand-in to be the
Hell
character?
no, probably not. No Greatest American Hero, no, because you want to know why? Because I know they'll screw it up.
I thought they were
Greatest
trying to do a movie.
Yeah,
They've been trying to do a movie forever.
Forever, they've been trying to do a movie forever. No Greatest American Hero, no. Leave it in the past where my childhood memories can remain untainted. You can you can replace the guy that played Ralph. I forget. But you cannot
Cosby
replace
was
Robert
goofy.
Culp. Robert Culp as Bill Maxwell. He made the show for me.
Yeah.
He made the show for me.
Tony Young says step by step he would like to see.
No, sir. No, sir.
You went to
We
Brady
already
Bunch
said. Remember,
again?
we
Have
just
fun
talked
with
about
that
that. That was modern day Brady Bunch. So
I went to
yeah,
Brady
no,
Bunch.
yeah, no. Anyway, so we're about 15 minutes over. Let's preview. Let's preview next week's show.
Yeah, next week
before
we
yeah. So
next
we're
week we're gonna really mess with y'all. I'm gonna let Dido bring it up though, because it's his topic.
yeah. So Dido, why don't you preview next week's topic of what we're going to be talking about, so everybody will know to tune back in next Wednesday.
All right, everybody. we are all here black people. I might have
with
the
an exception.
well,
One exception.
Well, I said okay. She's black by association.
I don't think that's how that works, man.
I don't have a whole. I don't have a. What is going on is so I was watching Black AF on Netflix. It's a show created by Kenya Barris.
Yep.
He also created Blackish and his spinoffs. He wrote some
Mixed-ish.
movies like Girls Trip, whatnot. And I enjoyed this show. I thought it was really funny. I thought it was something that was worth watching. And then I started looking online, and a lot of black people don't like it because they're saying it doesn't represent black people. And that's going to be a part of the topic of what we want to talk about because we as black people enjoy watching movies. I mean, we as people, period, us here like watching movies. And occasionally I will sit down and watch black movies. And I believe there's some good ones out there. There's some bad ones out there. There are ones that you can say represent us. And then other people say that don't represent us. And I want all of us here to sit there and talk about black excellence in movies. Maybe not necessarily TV.
And TV shows, too.
Maybe we'll do some TV as well because I enjoyed them back in the 90s. There was so much and they were so great. And I want to talk about black TV shows, black media, period, where we can sit down and say, why is this stuff
discussion.
Yeah. Why is this stuff good? Why did we like what is good? Why didn't we like certain things? I think it'd be something that all you guys would out there
and in
can
a way,
chime in on.
Yeah, and in a way, a lot of the discussion is also going to center on how certain people like to gatekeep what is black and what isn't. Black,
Yeah,
what isn't
exactly.
considered black enough. So this is a topic that we mulled over for a good while. And I think we think it's going to be something that we can really sink our teeth in. So make sure you come back next week, Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central, for episode 210 of Culture Junkies Live. It's gonna be fire. I think it's gonna be really, really good. So for my good friends, the Great Adakuji, Super Nerd Plus, and GQ, I'm Kenshiro. We'll see you guys next week. Shorty, hit the
Bye,
end
Jazzy.
screen button.